Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Got a lot to get to today. We are going to simulate the entire Titans offseason coming up in the 10 o'clock hour because that's where we are. The offseason is here. The Super Bowl is now in the past by a couple of days. Seahawks beat the Patriots on Sunday. We got Nick Frazier in for the full show. What's going on, Dr. Crane?
We're feeling great. We got a little taste of spring weather outside.
I know. It's super nice out.
Yeah, yesterday I got off work. I'm like, wow, I'm going to roll the windows down on the way home. This is kind of nice.
Yeah, this is the type of weather in February. Go out and do something tonight. Whether it's, active, go on a walk, maybe go find a patio somewhere, a happy hour or something like that. The world is our oyster when we get into 70-degree weather in February.
For me, 70-degree weather, it always just says, grab the leather. Go grab the baseball, man. Go toss the ball around. That's me.
My slow pitch softball team is taking a couple months off. I might have to talk to our manager about seeing if we can start getting things warmed up again for the spring season.
Get that rotator cuff rolling again, man.
Pitchers and catchers report this week. Yeah. So it's almost here. It is almost here. Lots to get to today. We're going to talk a lot of football throughout the show, but I do want to start with last night, what was just a splattering from Vanderbilt women's basketball against Oklahoma. That is the best game I think I've seen them play this year. The defense at times, Oklahoma got out in transition once it was a 20-point game, and maybe you gave up a little more than you'd like. But Vandy puts up 102 points last night against a top 10 Oklahoma team with the bench not scoring at all. It was only the starting five. They scored 102 points between the five of them.
It goes to show you how good that starting five is, especially against a top 10 team in Oklahoma. Shea Ralph has that team rolling, Jake, and you know it more than anybody.
See, the team lost the back-to-back games on the road at South Carolina, the neutral site game against Ole Miss, and I think a lot of people were like, oh, there you go. That team, they were 20-0, but they weren't a top 5 team like they were ranked. And Vandy has come back and just said, nope, we're going to go on the road. We're going to beat Kentucky, and then we're going to beat Oklahoma by 15 in back-to-back games. Yeah. And now it sets up this massive game on Thursday where all year long, the 4 teams who went to the Final Four last year have been viewed as the 1 seeds. And it feels like there's been a gap between the next best team. That's UConn, that's UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas. Well, Vanderbilt now plays Texas on Thursday. And if Vandy wins, they are going to be on the 1 line, at least as it stands right now. You'd still have some work to do. There would be 4 games left in the season, plus the SEC tournament. But Vanderbilt, with a win on Thursday, easier said than done, of course. Texas is a very good team. A win on Thursday, Vanderbilt would be viewed as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
That is beautiful to hear. And I just recall last week when we were chatting about the women's basketball team, you mentioned this week would be one of the toughest weeks of their season. And they've obviously stood the test right now. And again, Texas, a good ball club. I mean, last night, like you even mentioned, they held off Kentucky, which Kentucky's not a slouch either. They're a pretty good ball club as well. So that's going to be a true test on Thursday. You're right.
No, I think heading into the year, the idea was, let's see if this team can host, be a top 4 seed in the tournament. And you get to host the first 2 rounds in March Madness. Like, I think that was a goal.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at this week when you had Kentucky and Oklahoma and Texas coming up, and it's like, man, if you could get 2, you feel great. Getting 1, you're still in a good spot. That's just to host. Now I think the expectations, it's like, all right, how high can this team go? If you beat Texas on Thursday, you're 24-2 with 4 games left against Georgia, who's good, borderline top 25 team. You get Kentucky again at home. Then you get Alabama, who's been up and down this year. Mm-hmm. And then at Tennessee, who their coach is talking about them quitting on them and just suffered the worst loss in program history on Sunday.
I saw something online. I don't know where I read. It might have been on ESPN. I'm not sure, but Kim Caldwell was not in like the teams.
So
like, what is all that?
That's
about?
Going viral. That's what teams do. So the players will go sit down. They'll huddle. The coaches will go talk. They'll talk about what they're going to tell the players, draw up a play, something like that. The coaches will huddle, and then the head coach will go over and relay it to the players. That's not anything abnormal.
Okay. It was a little bit overblown a little bit.
I saw that going crazy. I'm like, that's That's what every team does. If you watch any team, maybe not for 45 seconds, but with the way that game was going, I'm sure there was a lot they had to work out. The comments after the game have been blowing up of Kim Caldwell saying, I have a team that quits on me and they've got to figure it out. So with Vanderbilt, this game on Thursday, I view it as playing with house money. Like, you want to win every game, but if you win, all of a sudden you're elevated to a different stratosphere with less than a month to go until your resume is complete.
Yeah.
And if you lose, well, you're still 23-3 and you still control your destiny in terms of hosting, getting a double bye in the SEC tournament. So there's obviously a lot on the line, but for Vanderbilt, I think you go out and play free and say, you know what? I don't think a lot of people are going to give Vandy a chance against Texas on Thursday. They should be, because the way this team is playing right now, I think they could beat just about anybody.
Yeah, what was it? Last night, Michaela Blake's her 30-point plus game. Is that right?
Yeah, 34 points last night. I mentioned it in our pregame show yesterday. Michaela, heading into that game, had 12 30-point games in her career. Only one of them had been in a Vanderbilt loss, and it was at Oklahoma last year. She scored 34 in that game, and they lost and gave up 100 points.
Oh, my goodness.
Flipped the script last night, put up 102. Michaela scores 34. Aubrey Galvin scores 30.
Fantastic. I'll be tuned in on Thursday for sure.
And I do this a lot, but I implore you to come out. If you have not seen this team play, this is the best opportunity to go see a game at Memorial this year. Yeah. Like, there's been good games. Kentucky coming up is a good game. What are some of the other LSU, of course, was a great game, and Vanderbilt won that one.
Yep.
But this is the game. Like, there is a ton on the line in this game. The winner gets sole possession of second place in the SEC and gets that final 1 seed at this point in the season. So, again, if you have a chance, Thursday night, it's a 6:30 tip. Number 4, Texas. Number 5, Vanderbilt in a massive game.
I love it. I freaking love it.
So much fun. And I'm excited for March. I can't believe it's almost here. We have a bracket in less than 5 weeks. So lots to look forward to. And it's looking more and more certain that Vandy's going to host March Madness games. So if you're in Nashville and you love basketball, you're going to get to see NCAA tournament games, most likely in Memorial Gym.
Yeah. I don't want to get too far into this, but I have to ask you, like, looking at that Tennessee game when they played UConn, what was it, last Sunday, and Tennessee was tied at halftime, I think 42 all or something like that. Then obviously UConn, the floodgates opened in the second half. For Vanderbilt, because you mentioned Tennessee, things are kind of discombobulated a little bit. And that's always a team you don't want to go up against when their backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
If that game is tight into the fourth quarter and it's like, I'm not saying a one possession game, but say they only beat them by like 10, 12 points. How do you, I guess, not compare apples to UConn, but how do you compare that?
Right now, UConn, I mean, they're going to finish the season undefeated. They don't play anybody the rest of the year. I've seen some talk this morning about Michaela Blakes. Does she deserve to be in the National Player of the Year conversation? And I would say absolutely yes, because honestly, if you're going to pick Sarah Strong of UConn, who is a very good player, I don't want to take anything away from her. If you give it to her, you basically made that decision at the beginning of the year, because it's all based off of the way UConn uses her, and the surrounding cast that she has gives her the analytics, the win shares, and the defensive rating, and all that kind of, like, she's a very good player, but no one has a bigger impact on their team than Michaela Blakes. I think you could argue UConn probably still goes undefeated if you replace Sarah Strong with one of the bench players on UConn. It's not the case for Vanderbilt with what they're doing.
Yeah, it's 100% fair.
But UConn's going to go undefeated. They'll be the number 1 team heading into the tournament, and then you play the games for a reason. We'll see if somebody can knock off the Huskies and avoid the repeat. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Really fun game last night out at Memorial. Vanderbilt gets the win, 102-86. The Vandy men are in action tonight at Auburn, and we'll talk about that game later on the show as well. But let's talk some football on the other side. The Super Bowl is in the past. We're now another day removed. Let's get some more thoughts out here about the Seahawks and the Patriots. How do we view the Seattle team moving forward? Is this a one-year run where things broke their way? Or do we think Sam Darnold, with the way that defense is structured, could end up being a team that's in the conversation for years to come? We'll talk about it coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We are off and running on this Monday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday. The Super Bowl now 2 days ago. The Seahawks beating the Patriots, and we enter the long, long offseason. Coming up at 10 o'clock, we are going to simulate the entire Titans offseason. I found this website that's kind of been circulating called Stick to the Model. And it allows you to do everything for the offseason. You can cut players to open cap space. You can extend players. You can sign free agents. You can draft. So we're going to do all of that in the 10 o'clock hour and see if we can do our best Mike Borgonzi impression and see how much we can improve this roster. But let's look back at the Super Bowl here quickly. Nick, what were your thoughts in general about that game? I think it went the way a lot of us expected. I know there was the underlying thought of, are we going to get a Vrabel special where Mike Vrabel just finds a way to win against a team that on paper is better than his? But the Seahawks were the more complete team. They made the plays, and Seattle, two-time Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, both of us know that the Seattle Seahawks were a better team. The storyline, I would have loved to see Vrabel just complete that 1 year historical run with the Patriots. But again, it was Drake May that was the downfall of that team. And I don't know if you can say it's, Drake May and Will Campbell. Will Campbell, the left tackle.
Will Campbell.
Yeah, yep. Excuse me. I don't know if you could blame it on him or Drake May or just a combination of both, but it definitely you could say was outplayed by Seattle for sure. The run game was good. And that was my biggest concern for Seattle going into that game is can they withstand just a one-person backfield, not having Zach Charbonnet earlier on in that playoff run, now in the Super Bowl in the biggest stage where, respectively, New England had a pretty decent defensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say they haven't because they're there.
For sure.
But Sam Darnold, again, Clint Kubiak's play designs, just genius. There were a lot of times where you'd see the linebackers try to look like they were playing man-to-man and they just get lost in the sauce, have an open guy. And that was that A.J. Barner touchdown as well. Like that was another one where he got lost in the sauce and there's the touchdown.
That was a great design on the Barner touchdown. And honestly, the Seahawks could have won that game by a lot more. The offense didn't play great. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 4 catches for 27 yards or something like that.
And he went off for like a foot injury, I think, right?
Yeah, he was out for a little bit there. And Sam Darnold missed some throws downfield. He only completed 50% of his passes, but he did what he needed to do, which is just let the defense go win. And they got into field goal range, let Jason Myers make 5 of them. And when the defense can turn over Drake May 3 times, including the pick 6, that was really all you needed. You didn't need much from Sam Darnold, and he did exactly what he was asked to do, which is take care of the football and matriculate it down the field, to use our favorite word. They got themselves enough points to win the game, and Seattle Super Bowl champs. I do wonder, though, is this a team that you believe can sustain this for years to come? That's not the point, right? Like you're trying to just win a Super Bowl every year, and they did that. But is this a team that you look at and you say, wow, this is the start of something with that defense and Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold? He's only 28, 29 years old,
give or take.
Like you could see this being a team that has some sustainability to it. I just don't know when a lot of the teams that are typically contenders in the NFC and the AFC did have a down year, if maybe they fall back to earth in 2026.
Obviously, when you win the Super Bowl, there's going to be some form of regressions in different aspects of the game. Not having Clint Kubiak coming back the next season because he's going to the Raiders, I think that's where you're going to see a little bit of drop-off on the offensive side of the ball. You wonder if the front office says, hey, are we going to make sure Kenneth Walker's our running back of the future?
Yeah.
Because he's in a contract year. And I think I was looking on Spotrac earlier, his projected number is $8 to $11 million, and it's projected a 4-year deal. So that's roughly $33, $36 million.
Yeah, it could be like 3 years, 33, 4 years for 40, something like that.
Yeah. So again, he's going to be a hot commodity. And if he gets out of Seattle's building, that might be an issue as well.
Right. He made a very nice closing statement to any teams that might want to enlist his services of what he did in the NFC Championship game. And then, of course, winning Super Bowl MVP. 8566 on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, asks, have you guys seen the report from the Seattle DB where they found an obvious tell from the Pats offensive line that would tip the play and the Patriots never adjusted? I did not see that. But honestly, it kind of would make sense.
Yeah.
The Patriots offense just never got anything going. And except for they had the 2 plays to Mac Hollins down the field for the touchdown when it was already 19-0 at that point. The game was virtually over, but yeah, I don't know. It would make sense if the Seahawks had a little bit of a tell at what was going to happen, because it did feel like the few times that they blitzed, it was perfect timing. I think I saw a stat, I think it was Mina Kimes put it out there, that the Seahawks only blitzed 7 times in that game, and they got to Drake May 6 times. Not all sacks, but either pressure, a hurry, a sack. And that ends up being a huge difference in that game. Devin Witherspoon had a couple of sacks. You get the interception from Nwosu that he takes back. Like, those few plays where they sent the blitz ended up playing a big role in the game. I wonder if maybe the Seahawks did have an idea of what was coming.
And again, you could probably counter that with it's New England's inexperience. It's their young players that just weren't ready for the big stage. I think you could counter that with it because, again, I mentioned earlier, Will Campbell, Drake May, both young players. And the fact that, that texture mentioning the tells that are given on the offensive side of the ball, that's probably one of the main reasons. And again, another thing you mentioned with Sam Darnold, his ball security was really good. For me, it's been ball security with Drake May since that Houston game where he continuously gave up fumbles left and right, the pressures against the defensive line. I mean, that's something he's going to have to improve on next season. But to your original question, I can see Seattle kind of running it back as a 10-win team, 10-plus win team. I just don't see them being as strong as they were this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I kind of view it like the Lions. Like, Detroit came up short of their window that they had to go win a Super Bowl. But I kind of viewed that team the same way, of great roster with a really good quarterback playing his best. Jared Goff, Sam Darnold. Like, Jared Goff 2 years ago when they went to the NFC Championship game was playing great, and you had the weapons. You had Laporta, you had Gibbs, you had St. Brown. The defense was playing well. They came up short. They blew that lead in San Francisco that would have sent them to the Super Bowl. And then you lose Ben Johnson. I know that was a year later. They lost to the Commanders in the playoffs too. But and maybe you could view the Titans the same way a couple years ago when they lost Arthur Smith. And it's like the offense takes a step back. Can the defense do enough to keep them in games? I don't know, but we will see. And I like Sam Darnold. I don't know where to stack him up in terms of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now, because he's not one of the elite guys at the top, but he's also, I would say, definitely a top 10 guy.
Yes.
Somewhere like 7 to 8, I guess, is where you would put him. But we talked about this last week, that murky middle of like 5 to 16 in terms of NFL quarterbacks. It is splitting hairs to decide who's better than who.
I'm smirking because I'm trying to just not relive my top 10 list of quarterbacks I had last week. That was brutal. No, I looking at it, probably like, you're right, around that 7 range, maybe on the like cusp of 6, because of winning the Super Bowl. You gotta give them the edge there, just like on the outside looking into the top 5. I mean, that's respectable, right?
Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold, I don't want this to sound disrespectful. Like, I think he's kind of like Matthew Stafford light right now. Like, he does the same things. And I don't think, even though Matthew Stafford's the MVP, like, I don't think you put him in that game-changing, elevating level of like a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, because of what they can do off script, right? Like, they can take a bad team and make them good. That Bills team was not good this year. Josh Allen got them to 12 wins. I don't know if Matthew Stafford with a bad team around him would be a 12-win team, but he's very good. And when he has the right pieces around him, he can play at an MVP level like he did this year. I think Sam Darnold is like half a step behind that.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it for Titans fans, would you say a Ryan Tannehill 2.0 in a little bit? Because Tannehill did just enough to get you there.
Yeah, I guess he's Ryan Tannehill that didn't
mess up.
Right. He didn't blow it in the biggest moment, right? Yeah. Like, Sam Darnold didn't turn the ball over in the playoffs, and the Seahawks won. I think Sam Darnold is probably right at the level that Ryan Tannehill was playing at when the Titans were consistent contenders in the AFC in 19, 20, and 21. So I think that's a good comparison. The 8566 sent the link to PFT. It was Devin Witherspoon said, I knew what was going on. We had a good tell on what they like to do and how they like to play and how they were going to attack us. let's see. Oh, we had to tell on their guards and their tackles how they like to set. They're going to overset on certain rushes. They're going to fall for certain moves anytime a group of guys get after them. And today I think we did that. So maybe it wasn't a specific tell of they knew what was coming, but they knew how to beat them when they did blitz, when they did send pressure.
Right. And which is, again, the experience of it all. Good kudos to Seattle, you know.
Trevor on the text line says, what was the tell? Will Campbell shaking when he knew a pass play was coming?
Parker and I were having this conversation yesterday about Will Campbell's pass set. His ankle would always cave in, and which is, again, not a good base. Your base is not strong. And again, you're going to get beat off the outside or inside because you just have no leverage.
Well, and I did just see a report. It was from Mark Daniels of Mass Live, who covers the Patriots. Will Campbell said he tore a ligament in his knee this season. He wasn't 100% for the playoffs, but said it's not an excuse.
I remember. Why do I remember that was reported that Will Campbell had something messed up with his knee?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't good on Sunday, obviously. I don't think they're going to push him inside yet. I think eventually he ends up being a left guard, but I think Vrabel's stubborn. And when he took him 4th overall, he said he's going to be his left tackle. I think he's going to stay at left tackle until it is painfully obvious that he can't play there.
Hey, you know who's available? Andre Dillard.
That is true. That is true. Andre Dillard, I believe, is available. I am also available if Mike Vrabel would like me to play left tackle for the Patriots.
There you go. Jake Lyman, ready to go. Beefed up.
No. The smallest left tackle in history, but, you know, might have the same results as Andre Dillard.
Swing tackle, man. That's all you can do. You're good.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. He did have, Aaron Brewer was really good this year, but he did have Aaron Brewer playing undersized at center. Maybe
it's true. Tougher than a $2 steak.
Yes, he is. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll keep talking Super Bowl on the other side. We'll flip over to the Patriots. Drake May getting obviously a lot of flack for the way that he played on Sunday, but how do you view him heading into year 3? We had this discussion on last week of if you won, how did you view him? With that performance on a national stage, I think everybody is kind of taking shots at him. He still was 1 vote shy of winning the MVP this year. So we'll talk about Drake May and wrap up the conversation on the Super Bowl. Again, we are going to simulate the entire Titans offseason coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. See how we can improve this roster with the resources that Tennessee has at its disposal. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Register today for Stars Trivia Night at Boombahs in East Nashville on Thursday, February 19th. It will be a night full of fun, food, and prizes, all while supporting Stars Nashville, a nonprofit providing free mental health support for students in over 200 schools across Middle Tennessee. For more details on how to register, visit thegamenashville.com/events. Talking Super Bowl here, 2 days removed from Super Bowl 60. The Seahawks beat the Patriots, and a lot of discourse coming from this. A lot of this is around Drake May and Will Campbell, who we talked about whether he needs to move positions. Drake May, how do you feel about him coming out of his second season when he finished second in MVP voting? He gets his team to the Super Bowl, but he was really bad on Sunday. There's no way around that. He was not good. I believe the late touchdown to Hollins and the way they played in garbage time made him not the worst playoff or the worst Super Bowl quarterback ever, but he's in that conversation with that performance. How do you view Drake May now? And I struggle with this because it's like everybody wants to overreact to one game and the playoff run in general, where it's not like he was a game-changing player. But I think you have to look at Drake May for the full product of what he put on the field this year and say, that's a rising star in this league, even if he sputtered a little bit on the biggest stage on Sunday.
Yeah. I said in the last segment, if it's Will Campbell or Drake May, you could combine both the issues. That it was both their faults. But we all know the biggest downfall of Drake May this past season was his ball security. And it showed up, obviously, in the playoffs. But as for how I view him going forward into year 3, I mean, there's definitely going to be some upside to him, but I mean, you're going up against a first place schedule now. So you're really going to see the true colors of a quarterback.
Yeah, this is a big year for Drake May.
Yeah.
I think you can look at him and say he is on the precipice of joining that young elite quarterback group of, this generation in the AFC is Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Jackson. Can May elevate into that conversation? He's not there yet, clearly, based on what we saw on Sunday. But he also did have an MVP type season in year 2 and reached the Super Bowl, despite, I think, a lot of questions about the schedule, right? Like it was a weak schedule, maybe one of the weakest in NFL history. And you can only control so much. You don't put the schedule together. It's not like this is college football where you create the non-conference schedule. You play who the NFL puts against you. So I can't blame that on him. But this is a big year. It's a prove-it year for Drake May of, all right, you made a run. Can you be in that conversation again next year with that first place schedule? And I said it yesterday, you never know with these guys. You never know if you're going to make it back. Yeah. Right? These quarterbacks that go to the Super Bowl early in their career, you never know if they're going to make it back. This is a big year for Drake May. Not saying he has to win MVP or go to the Super Bowl, but he's got to sustain and be right back in this conversation next year if he's going to join that group at the top.
Yeah, I don't want to compare Drake May to another quarterback, but I kind of am. Looking at just other quarterback trajectories coming into the NFL and kind of trying to keep that consistency. A player that's kind of now on the upswing because he has the supporting cast around him is Trevor Lawrence. And I remember there was a time where a lot of Jags fans were upset with the giant deal they gave Lawrence because of the production that he's had. I'm not trying to compare Drake May, but he's on that same trajectory a little bit. Came into the league, kind of had some upswing to him. And now after this Super Bowl performance, it seems like it's on the downslope a little bit. And you wonder if he can kind of rebound off that. Looking at, Trevor Lawrence's second year stats, had 4,100 yards, roughly 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Then in year 3, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So the interceptions kind of doubled at that point. You look at Drake May, who's coming off an 8 interception year. You wonder if that doubles.
Yeah. And I look at it with Trevor Lawrence as I think he's one of those quarterbacks who is good and can be very good if you put the right pieces around him. Like you said, if you give him a good offensive line, a good defense, and good wide receivers, he can go make plays for you and he can get you to 13 wins like he did this year. Drake May, I think, wants to be in that next level of Patrick Mahomes. He's won Super Bowls with a roster that is average.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Drake May is trying to get to. Clearly, he didn't look like one of those guys on Sunday night, but he is just 23. And I think there's a lot of growth that can still happen for Drake May. You saw the ability. He wasn't very good in the playoffs. Now, for 3 games, he didn't lose you the game. He did on Sunday and Seahawks defense deserves a lot of credit for making it difficult on him. I think people are always going to have the recency bias of, oh, Drake May was horrible on Sunday, and he's going to be downgraded for that heading into year 3. I still think he deserves to be right in that conversation for that last spot in the top 5, as we were talking about last week. Like, you look at the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, I think Drake May deserves to be probably not number 5, but just on the outskirts there with what he did in year 2.
Yeah, and again, it just because of what he's done this year, and you look at to next year, you'll definitely see that number change. And I think it'll probably be more in the 8 to 9 realm, 10, 11 for me, just after what we saw in the Super Bowl. Because like you mentioned, it's all current. It's all the observation of what Drake May has done right now. Again, on paper, yes, he is definitely a top 5 quarterback, but performance does not show that.
3155 on the text line says, if Cam Ward takes the Titans to the Super Bowl next year, what would we be saying? We would be pumped. And I agree with that. And I'm not trying to say Patriots fans should be scared about Drake May. Patriots fans should be thrilled. Their quarterback just got them to the Super Bowl in year 2. I'm just saying, in terms of what he's going to be down the road, do we believe he is one of those Mahomes type guys who, I would hate it, but the Patriots would be right back in the Super Bowl for years to come? Or was this just a year where you played a weak schedule and he's good, but he's not going to be in that elite conversation? I think that's the conversation that needs to be had.
And back to your point too about, getting him a supporting cast around him. We saw Drake May this year run the ball a lot out of the pocket. And that's, for it being a passing league, you normally don't see your quarterbacks do that unless you're a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. You improvise. Drake May ran the ball for a decent bit, and you wonder if you can finally get that wide receiver 1 for a guy like Drake May. Because it was Corey Curtis yesterday on Robbie and Rexroad that mentioned that we all know that not Travion Diggs, but Stephon Diggs is not a wide receiver 1.
No, not anymore.
Backside of his prime. So if Vrabel can go out and grab a wide receiver 1 in free agency or the draft, maybe we do see an upswing in his play.
Or a trade.
Or a trade. You're right. Of a very, very familiar name for a lot of people.
Arthur Juan Brown making his way to New England.
And I'm sure Amy would be just fuming.
I think that is, if I had to make a prediction for the offseason, I think that would probably be it. I got 2 landing spots for A.J. Brown if he gets traded.
Oh.
New England, San Francisco.
Interesting.
I think those are the 2 spots that would feel like they can handle him. Vrabel, just because of the familiarity, and I think Shanahan, I think he's just like, and who knows, maybe with the Brandon Ayuk situation, he doesn't want to deal with that. But I think maybe Shanahan believes if he gets him in his building and into his system, he can get the most out of it. But those are the 2 spots I would be looking at for A.J. Brown. And I think with Drake May, like, getting him A.J. Brown, that is the best thing that you could do for a young quarterback this offseason.
As long as A.J. Brown didn't have his catching yips of saying, pass me the ball and drop the ball 2 or 3 times after that. We talk about Jalen Hurts.
Right.
He should be all right.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. The Super Bowl is in the books. Seahawks beat the Patriots on Sunday. Now we embark on the long offseason. At the top of the hour, Nick Frazier and I are going to do our best to see if we can fix the Titans in 1 year, going through all the simulations, free agency, the draft, and see what we come out with on the other side. I will take your thoughts too. If you have any ideas of what the Titans should do, we will enlist your help as we do that simulation. We'll do that coming up at the top of the hour. Wrap up hour number 1 after this. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Tonight, number 19 Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on Auburn with a 6 o'clock tip-off, and the pregame show starts at 5:30 right here on 102.5 The Game. Big one for the Commodores. We'll talk about that one later on in the show. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Wrapping up hour number 1, we are going to do a full Titans offseason simulation coming up at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, going through everything, free agency, the draft. I'm excited. I want to see where we can get this team. And, maybe we'll send this over to the Titans and just say, hey, if you want some tips on what to do this offseason, here you go.
Give you my laundry list. Like, sitting here looking at this, I'm already in awe. But, like, if you're a football fan, American football, like, Joe hates when I say it. Sorry. If you're
I was about to say,
yeah.
What did he say last time?
Yeah. There's a game called Football Manager. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
But I've played that in the past, and you can be like a soccer manager, and you can like take your team to the Champions League, whatever.
Right.
I love those games. Those simulation games of, you could really turn this into this. Like, love that. So this is right up my alley.
We're going to do it at the top of 10 o'clock hour, and there's plenty for us to get into. Before we wrap up this hour, I have an issue in my parking garage that I had to – I wasn't going to say anything the first time I saw it. So yesterday I get back from the show, and I pull into my parking garage at my apartment, and I see a car parked with its front left tire, not just on the line, completely over the line. There was not any of that tire that was in the right parking space. And this wasn't just like I saw it there. I saw the person get out of the car and leave it. I was like, wow, that's bold, first of all.
Yes.
Just leaving your car like that easily could get hit. Also, just taking up 2 parking spots. So anyway, I wasn't going to say anything. But then I get back from shoot around from the Vandy game. Same person, same car, same parking job, pulling in again. Did it twice in 3 hours and just left it. Where is the regard for other people? I just got to ask. Like, that it just bothers me because I will, in that parking garage, the spaces are kind of tight.
Yeah.
But I will, if I pull in and I feel like I'm a little crooked and I look down and see, man, my mirror might be over the line a little bit, I will get back in my car, I will back it up, and I will straighten it out. Why is that not the standard operating procedure for everybody?
I don't get it either. I was at the Preds game last week, and that kind of happened the same way. I was a little tight to the line, and somebody, I guess they're from out of town, maybe Minnesota or something, had a big old bus, like a Mercedes style bus, and they're backing it in. I'm like, I was directing them, I was like, stop, you're gonna hit my car. Let me move my car first. And they backed it in. I was like, see, there you go. She goes, it's a tight spot. I was like, yeah, you're supposed to park down there or with the bigger
bus.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this is my old man yells at cloud. We don't do the Rob rant or the Rex rant on the show. So sometimes I just got to get it off my chest. I saw it. I showed you the picture because I did it like today.
Uncanny.
So I didn't take a picture either time, but this morning when I walked out and I was like, I know I'm going to bring it up on the show. I was like, let me just sneak a picture so I can show Dr. Crane that I'm not making this up. It's bad. I also, in that parking garage, I just want to point out, like, for all people, if you have a big truck, please do not park near the ends of a tight parking garage because it makes it almost impossible for 2 cars to get by at the same time.
Yep. And if you do, back it in.
I would say just park in the middle of the garage, like where there's room for people to get by and it's not a blind turn where if you don't see the car coming around, it's a head-on collision. Because you make that turn wider that everybody has to make. I'm just getting, we got to slow it down here before I get.
Are you a note guy? Do you leave a note?
No, I'm not one of those people. I'm going to let you do you. I'm just going to call you out anonymously on local radio.
There you go. I like doing that stuff.
I mean, I am not a person who is ever going to leave a note or say anything. Like, that's up to you because guess what? There are people who are not as nice as me who might just come in, park, and door ding you on purpose because of the way you park. So I'll leave that to those people. I am just going to come on Sports Talk Radio and let everybody know what a horrible parker you are.
And he just asked, please don't park that way anymore.
Yes. Can we please just be better at parking? Everyone in the future. Just, and it's not a skill issue. It's an effort issue. Like, you can park bad the first time, but it takes an extra 15 seconds to back it up and straighten it out.
Like, are you in a rush? You having the runs or something? You got to go upstairs that fast?
That's why when it happened the first time, I was like, you know what? Maybe she's in a rush and is like running up to her apartment, coming right back down. I saw it happen again, and I was like, all right, now this is personal now.
Now it's war. The parking wars at Jake Lyman's.
There
you go.
It bothered me so much. I'm like, do you seriously not have an extra 10 or 15 seconds just to back it up, straighten it out?
It's not that hard.
Anyway, we got the Olympics on here in studio.
Love it.
You're our obscure sports expert. Do you have any thoughts on the Olympics so far?
I mean, right now, U.S. not really placing top 5 overall with, the rest of the countries.
Yeah, it's been a slow start, right?
I think they'll bring it up in the second half. They got us in the first half, right? Second half is where they
not going to lie. They got us in the first half.
But no, the U.S. have 2 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze as of this morning at 7:45.
Okay.
So, looking at my rundown here, Isla Malinin, she leads the United States in the second consecutive gold for the Olympic figure skating. That happened earlier this week. Let's see. A skier, Breezy Johnson, wins the U.S. first gold in the 2026 Olympics for women's downhill race. Again, that was the same race that Lindsey Vonn hurt her knee and everything else. I think there was an update on that as well. She's going to have multiple surgeries.
Yeah, I guess a compound fracture. Yeah. And it's tough. And I have seen like a lot of people, why'd she compete on the 20 ACL? Her knee had nothing to do with the injury. Her ski hit the gate. Like, really unfortunate, but would have happened whether she had a torn ACL or not.
Yeah, because she mentioned in her press conference that I'm wearing a big knee brace that is going to keep my knee intact for structure purposes to allow me to compete.
Right. No, it had nothing to do with her knee. Yeah. But man, yeah, slow start for the U.S., but obviously a long way to go. We're only 3 days into this thing.
Exactly. So, and there's a potential gold medal coming up at 11:05.
Curling.
Yes.
I got to say, I watched curling and I did not understand it. Like I thought I got it. I thought it was like darts, right? Like where it's certain point values for how close you are to the center, but I was clearly wrong because every time the points went up, I was like, all right, that's not what I had based on my scoring system I made up in my head.
My assumption is the blue ring. So there's 3 rings. There's the bullseye, there's the white ring, and then there's the blue ring. Okay.
Yeah.
I look at it as get as many marbles as possible, marble stones, that is, as possible inside the blue ring. So basically it's like cornhole. It counteracts. If you have 3, they have 3. Null and void.
So the issue I had was when the U.S. won yesterday, they were down 8-7 in the final end. Is that what it's called? And the shot that everybody's talking about left the U.S. with 3 on and Italy with 3 on. Wouldn't it have been a tie at that point?
I don't know, Jake. I'm just trying to go along with everybody else.
I don't get it.
Again, the point system, it's kind of like whose line is it anyways, right?
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Connor and I always mention that.
Maybe we need to turn it on right when it starts today, and maybe they'll explain it to us.
I hope.
Who is the U.S. playing?
They're playing Sweden.
And
the gold. And I believe Great Britain was the big favorites in that division for the mixed doubles, and they're taking on Italy in the bronze medal match.
Thomas in Nashville asked me to tell him the kind of car. I won't do that. No. He says, in the Olympics, I'm following the quad god. He is great. That's the figure skater, right? Yeah, who does the backflips. That's awesome. The Winter Olympics, I don't get into it as much as the Summer Olympics, but some of the niche sports, like we were just watching cross-country skiing, it is kind of just interesting to have that on in the background. It is.
And Ben Ogden was the U.S. He's the guy that got silver for the United States.
Gotcha.
He, I think, broke a 50-year streak, ended a 50-year streak for the U.S. not medaling in that little division.
Big time. Go Ben Ogden.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Keegan is on the line. Keegan, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you, fellas. Good morning. I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna call in and talk a little bit about Robert Saleh and all. But I know y'all got a big 10 o'clock hour planned. I'm not going to try to take up too much of my time before that. I was just going to actually jump in with this curling conversation here. So I watched it yesterday as well. Electric. Jake, I'm with you. I don't really understand how the points work, but I watched the video this morning. So, you got the different colored rings. That don't matter. You just got to get inside the rings. They're just there to help tell, who's further apart. And for the shot you were talking about yesterday that won it for the USA. So I think the whole thing about it is you just have to have the curl closest to the center.
Yeah.
If you get the curl closest to the center, you get a point for that round, I think. And then, whoever's closer or has more points wins. I think
it's the house.
If you got 2 curls closer to the circle, than they do, then you get 2 points. You know, it kind of goes like that. But
Gotcha.
yeah, no, it's been absolutely electric. I was watching it last night, the replay. I jumped off the couch watching the USA beat off Italy, knock off Italy. Excuse me. It was totally cool. And then also the couples figure skaters who did like that rhythm dance. I don't remember the name, but they were pretty awesome as well. I think they got like a point knocked off at the end for some technicality, but they went out there dancing to Lenny Kravitz. They were killing it, dude. I've greatly enjoyed the Olympics so far. I've enjoyed everything I've watched.
And
But,
we get a hockey tomorrow, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was listening to you talk to Max Hers last week about what days certain Predators players play. I'm all turned up for that. I'm ready to watch. You know, all the snow and ice is gone from my work, so I'm gonna pull it up on my phone and hide out somewhere.
Love it. I believe both Sweden and Finland play tomorrow in the first day. So we'll get a chance to see UC Saros, Eric Haula, and Philip Forsberg. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks for the call, Keegan. Good stuff there. And yes, 8566 texted in and says, with curling, it's all determined on who is closest to the middle. You get 1 point for each stone that is closer to the middle than any of your opponents closest. So that makes more sense. I was confused. I was like, I kind of viewed it like a dartboard, but I guess the rings specifically don't mean anything different.
Yeah, the center, again, I call it the bullseye. It's called the house, I believe. So if you can get more, like you said,
closest to that. Okay,
Yeah.
so closer than your opponent. So that's why they got 3 points there.
Right.
What does the hammer mean? I heard them say, does that just mean they go last in that round?
I'd assume so. The only hammer I've been hearing about is TGL. That
Right, they have the
throw.
ham, but yeah, it says it was like the U.S. will have the hammer in the final end. I don't
Let's see.
know, but curling's fun to watch.
It is. And I like that it's a intimate atmosphere, kind of like your stadium seats are on the sides. It's just pretty neat. It's almost like how do I compare it? It's almost like an opera house mixed with like a sports venue, and you got curling.
I'll use the Blades of Glory. No one knows what it means, but it gets the people going. That's how I feel about curling. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Coming up next, we are going to simulate the entire Titans offseason. We are going to go through cap casualties, extensions, free agents, draft, and see where we end up on the other side. Can we get the Titans in a competitive spot heading into 2026? We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour on this Tuesday. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is officially the NFL offseason, and we are looking ahead to big decisions for the Titans, free agency, the draft, even before that, cap casualties. We're going to do all of it right now and see if we can do our best Mike Borgonzi impression, see what the Titans can do in one offseason with the resources they have. So I found this website. It's been kind of circulating around Twitter. Sticktothemodel.com has a BAGM feature where you can kind of go through every aspect of the NFL offseason. So we're going to go through this. There are three of us here, me, Nick, and Parker. So if there are any discrepancies, we're going to vote. And we're going to see where we end up. Let's start with what we're going to do with the current roster. So it allows you to manage the cap. You can cut, you can restructure, you can extend, you can franchise tag players. Let's start with Jeffrey Simmons. Do we think Jeffrey Simmons deserves an extension this offseason?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes, too. I think he deserves an extension. So if we look at the extension here, I'm going to just stick with what the website gives me.
Yeah.
Like they're going to give me a certain amount of money for these players. So we're going to go with this. It is going to be a total deal of 5 years, $143 million, adding 3 years and $89 million of new money to his contract. So we're going to extend Jeffrey Simmons. That's our first move. And that saves $9 million against the cap for us.
Wow.
And I will say the Titans started with $105 million in cap, according to this website. So there we go. Jeffrey Simmons is extended. Next up, Calvin Ridley. What do we do with Calvin Ridley?
See you, buddy.
I agree. I think they cut him. Parker, deuces.
Yep, deuces to Calvin Ridley.
I also will mention, if you've used this website before, there is a trades feature, and I'm going to skip it because it's just completely unrealistic.
Mhm.
It has teams offering like second-round picks for Calvin Ridley and third-round picks for Tony Pollard. Obviously, if that was to happen, we would do it, but I don't think that's realistic. We will be cutting Calvin Ridley. That saves $14 million against the cap with $13 million in dead money. So there you go. Calvin Ridley, gone. L'Jarius Sneed, easy one. See ya.
Sayonara.
All right. L'Jarius Sneed cut as well. That saves $12 million against the cap with $8 million in dead money. Let's see. Lloyd Cushenberry. Think you keep him around? I'm leaning
Yes.
towards yes.
Yes.
You need a center, and it's not going to be Corey Levin.
Right. And unless you think Jackson Slater is a viable option at center, or it's another hole you're creating for yourself when you already have too many. So Lloyd Cushenberry is going to stick around. Tony Pollard. I think this is the one that there might be some debate on. Do we think you should keep Tony Pollard and try and upgrade either in free agency or in the draft? If you were to cut Tony Pollard, it would only be $2 million in dead cap, and it would save you a net savings of $7.3 million. We are already at $140 million in cap space.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's okay to keep him around. I think you can keep him around for one more year.
You want to keep him? I'm going to go cut him.
Really?
Parker?
So I talked to a former NFL quarterbacks coach yesterday, and I asked him, how long should you give a quarterback before you know if he's going to be any good or not? And he answered very simply, until you get a better one. I think you can get a better running back than Tony Pollard,
All right.
whether that's Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. So I'm going to go cut Tony Pollard and try to get one of those two.
All right. Tony Pollard is cut. So looking at what we've done so far, we have extended Jeffrey Simmons, cut Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tony Pollard. And again, if you're just joining us, we are simulating the entire offseason for the Titans. We're going through every step of it, and we're going to see where the roster ends up at the end of the hour. Another question I had here before we move on to free agency, actually two players I want to get to, and then we'll move on to free agency. Peter Skoronski, is it now the time to extend him?
Yes.
I agree. You're 3 years in. You're going to pick up the fifth-year option most likely, but I think you feel good enough about Skoronski. Let's see. If you extend him, this has a 4-year deal. That doesn't seem right. I'm going to change the money on this one because it's saying his market rate is $1.5 million a year.
Mine says, yeah, that ain't
This says extend Peter Skoronski. It would cost you 4 years, $6 million. I have to think that Peter Skoronski is going to get more money than that.
Yeah, mine says 4 years, 11.7.
Okay, then mine must be wrong. I will change it to that.
Yeah, 4 years, 11.7, and the
right.
new money would be 5 million.
All right, it's not letting me do that.
We will. Yeah, there's like a maximum. That might. Be...
I don't understand why it has him at $1.5 million.
That makes no
sense.
Like
Peter Skoronski, borderline all pro at guard, and it's like, yeah, give him the veteran minimum.
Maybe click extend only. Maybe.
Can you? Yeah, let me try that.
Maybe that's it.
No. Still will only let me give him up to $2.4 million a year. So we're just gonna. It's not like it affects the roster at all.
No.
I don't think it would change the cap all that much. But we're going to say, in spirit, we're going to extend Peter Skoronski because I can't get the money to work here. Xavier Woods. That's the last one I want to talk about here.
I mean, at this point, just keep him around for a body.
Yeah, it's a $5 million cap hit. If you cut him, it would save you $4 million, but like you've got $147 million in cap space. I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is our cap management to start off this simulation. The moves we made: extended Jeffrey Simmons, added 3 new years to his deal, and then also cut L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley, and Tony Pollard. The trades, before we go to break and go to free agency, do we trade Will Levis?
Maybe a draft day potential.
I'll
stay with no.
Let's see if I'm going to add Will Levis to this trade here and see what we could get back for him. If I can find him in here. All right, Will Levis.
There he is.
So if you trade Will Levis, what's a good team for Will Levis to go to?
Somewhere out west.
Out west.
Send him to Minnesota, send him to LA, send him to San Fran.
How about the Rams? How about Sean McVay? All right, let's try and send him to Sean McVay. So they've got the cap space. There's no worry there. Let's see. If we add a pick, I think maybe like 167. Is that a 5th round pick? Let's try that.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah, 5th round pick number 167. Let's see if we can get that. Offer trade. Trade accepted. All right, we got a 5th round pick for Will Levis. So there you go. Will Levis is gone, and now we can move on to free agency. Again, we are simulating the entire Titans offseason this hour, from free agency through the draft. We're going to see where this team ends up at the end of the hour. So far, the moves we've made: extended Jeffrey Simmons, adding 3 new years to his deal. We've got L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard. They are cap casualties, adding the total cap space now to $150 million for the Titans. Will Levis has been traded for a 5th round pick to the Los Angeles Rams. When we come back, free agency. Who do the Titans grab in the secondary? Who do they grab at wide receiver? Do we get a backup quarterback, a running back? Lots of options for the Titans with, again, now $150 million in cap space based on the moves we just made. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have ideas of how the Titans should go about their offseason, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Free agency up next in our Titans offseason simulation. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. We're spending this hour simulating the Titans offseason. Just an early look with everything on the table. So we've already managed some of the cap, cutting L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard. We extended Jeffrey Simmons, and we traded Will Levis to the Rams for a 5th-round pick. All right, let's get into free agency. Let's start with the pending free agents for the Titans. I think it's pretty safe. Some of these restricted guys that you could bring back. So like Bryce Oliver is an exclusive rights free agent. I think you bring him back. So we'll make an offer to him. He is accepted. So we've got Bryce Oliver back. I'm just going to go through some of these guys like CJ Ravenel. We'll make him an offer. Boom. He's back. Darrell Baker. Do you think Darrell Baker should be back? He's a restricted free agent.
I think so.
I think you need depth at corner. And if he's your 5th or 6th corner, I think you feel pretty good about that. So 1 year, $3.8 million. Boom. And he's back. Jihad Ward. You think he needs to be back? I kind of like him as a rotational pass rusher.
Yeah, especially with the young, I guess, talent you possibly are bringing in, and you don't know what he's got with Femi. I think, yeah, you got to bring him
He's
back.
32, so let's offer him a 1-year deal. We'll say like $7 million. And he said no.
Probably 8, maybe 9.
It says 10.
He accepted 9 for 1 year.
I'm going to say walk away. I'm going to say he doesn't want to come here.
Okay.
So we're no Jihad Ward. Anybody else for the Titans? I know Chig's a big name. How do you guys feel about bringing Chig back? I kind of lean away from it.
I'm in the camp of re-signing Chigakonkwo.
Okay.
I mean, I know the thing online about him saying his goodbyes, whatever it may be, but maybe like a 2-year deal.
What do you
See how
think,
it
Parker?
works.
You want to bring Chig back?
I want to bring him back.
Okay.
But it's purely because of the impact that he can have in the open field by just getting him the football. We know that he's not a good blocker, but I'd be down to bring him back on a 1 to 2 year deal, cheap deal.
What do you think? 2 years, $23 million total.
2 years, $10 million.
You think you could go
Yeah.
lower?
Let's try. Let's try.
What's
let's try
the
2
site
years.
saying?
It said 11.5 is market value. Let's try 2 years, $10 million a year. He said no. We'll go to 11.3. I don't care. 11.3. He is back. 2 years, $22 million for Chigakonkwo. So the Titans re-signing some of the old pieces. I'm going to say no on Oli Udoh, no on Arden Key, no on Kevin Zeitler. We said no on Jihad Ward.
Correct.
How about Sebastian Joseph Day?
I'm in for that.
Bring
me
him
too.
back. He's pretty cheap. Let's bring him back. That's not a. We'll do $5 million a year for 1 year.
Yeah,
There we go. He
Yeah.
accepted.
that works.
All right. So we've gone through the impending free agents. Oh, specialist. You want to just bring all of the 3 of them back?
Yep.
Sly, Cox, Hecker.
Yep.
All right. Let's do that. I'm just going to go with the market value for all these guys
Mhm.
because they're specialists. So, all right. So after re-signing free agents from the Titans have $115 million in cap
Corey
space.
Levin. Forgot about Corey
Yo,
Levin.
Corey Levin.
Yep.
Let's bring him back too. Why not? All right. $2 million a year for Corey Levin over 2 years. Boom. All right. So Titans have brought back a bunch of their own free agents, $113 million still to spend in cap space. So above what we started with, but with the cap casualties was kind of able to pay for some of that. Chigakonkwo is back in the fold. Where do we start as we enter the open market? What's the big need that you're looking at in free agency?
I think you got to go corner. You got to find. A
I think
cornerback.
corner is, I think that's where I'm most confident the Titans are going to spend big money. So let's see. Big names here. Tariq Woolen.
Mhm.
You've got Alontae Taylor, Jalen Watson. Any names standing out there?
I mean, Alontae Taylor seems like a.
I
key
like
piece, right?
Alontae Taylor. You like that, Parker? All right, let's bring the former Vol back home. This says 11.3 a year. So let's offer him 12 over 4 years. 4
Yeah.
years, $48 million.
That's fair.
He is accepted. So Alontae Taylor is now starting at cornerback for the Titans. Anybody else at cornerback that you think would be worthy to bring in? I think you need another signing here. I don't know if it needs to be top of the market. Like, how about he's 30. I don't know. I was going to say Rock Yassin.
There's one name that is still sticking out to me. Not a cornerback, but a safety.
Safety?
Kevin Byard.
You want to bring KB back? I'm with you on
Why
that. Let's
not,
bring
right?
KB back. How much is he going to cost? That's the question.
Yeah, the question
It
is
says $8 million a year.
Well, my market value is saying, well, it's above market value.
This
but
says $8.6 million is market value.
yeah.
You want to say offer him $8 million for a 2-year deal to come back?
So 4 AAV is what you're saying?
No, 8 AAV.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
That feels like a lot for a guy who's
It
probably going to be
is.
your 4th safety. You know what? I'm gonna vote no here. Parker, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna say if it's gonna cost you that much, the sentimental value isn't worth it for a guy who's probably gonna be just in the mix at safety instead of one of your key players.
So who's this again?
Kevin Byard.
Kevin Byard. I'd say you could probably go get a younger guy, but if you could bring him back on like a 1-year cheap deal,
Let's say
I'd be down for
how about
it.
1 year, $8 million? And I don't mean to say he's going to be your 4th safety
because
that's
he
not what
still
I mean.
led the league in turnovers last
but
year.
like I more meant that that's a position group you're already deep in. Let's say 1 year, $8 million. He said no. It says 8.6 for 1 year.
Let's pay.
All right, let's do it.
It's actually
All right.
600K. It's
Welcome back, the mayor of Murfreesboro. He is going to add the final depth pieces to the safety room. Anyone else in the secondary? I think you need one more body in there as like maybe a rotational guy. How about this one? I know he's been disappointing from where he was drafted.
Mhm.
Jeff Okudah. He's only 27, and this only has him costing like $2 million a year.
I wouldn't be opposed of it.
Just as a depth piece. You got Alontae Taylor in there now. You're bringing back Marcus Harris. I think you like Micah Robinson as a depth guy. We brought back Darrell Baker. I think the Titans are going to use a draft pick here too. But let's bring Jeff Okudah as a high ceiling project for, let's say, just a 1 year, $2.5 million deal.
Generous. Okay.
Boom. All right. Done at cornerback, I think, in free agency.
Yeah.
Where else? Let's go wide receiver. I think wide receiver is the other place that you could look and say the Titans are going to spend some big money. George Pickens is off the board. He's going to get tagged.
Right.
Who are you looking at? Is it Alec Pierce that you're in on here, or maybe a Romeo Dobbs, Jawan Jennings?
I'm torn with this. Like, you could go the full on. Let's go grab that wide receiver that everybody knows will be a marriage with Brian Daboll. And Parker's the one that mentioned this a few weeks
Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
He's only 25. I just wonder if he fits the mold. If you think Chimdike is going to take a step this year,
Right. I mean, you could do that. Look, if you grab an Alec Pierce, to me, that's like adding another slot guy. And again,
he's 6'2".
Really.
Yeah,
That's
he's a vertical threat.
that is a quiet 6'2".
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not sold on Alec Pierce. I'm just not.
All right. How about Romeo Dobbs? I kind of like it because Jawan Jennings is 29, and I think it's going to cost you about the same.
Mhm.
Dobbs is 26. I heard Robbie talking this morning about how he's a good red zone threat. I kind of like Romeo Dobbs as the middle of the pack guy. What do you think, Parker?
I'd be fine with Romeo Dobbs.
All right, let's sign Romeo Dobbs. This says $24 million a year. I'm going to try and bring that down a little bit.
That is.
Let's try 22.5
Okay.
over 4 years. So $90 million. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. $90 million over 4 years for Romeo Dobbs. Rejected, man.
Mm.
All right, we're just going to pay that. It's a 1.7 a year.
Yeah.
All right, so Romeo Dobbs is brought in. So based on what it's looking like right now, the Titans have cut Calvin Ridley, cut L'Jarius Sneed, cut Tony Pollard, extended Jeffrey Simmons, traded Will Levis. I'm not going to go through all of the guys we brought back, but the big moves in free agency so far, bringing in Alontae Taylor and Romeo Dobbs. Kevin Byard comes back. And then Jeff Okudah is a project at cornerback. Let's go running back next.
Okay.
I like running back here. I think we did cut Tony Pollard.
Yep.
Is it Breece Hall? Is that the name here? Kenneth Walker is out there in this scenario.
They're both around the same price. I think Breece Hall is $1 million more. When I was looking at Spot
yes. That's what it has here. It has Breece Hall at 11 million, Kenneth Walker at 10.
Go after the big ribeye steak. What are we talking? This is the tomahawk steak. Give me Kenneth Walker.
The Super Bowl MVP.
Let's do it.
All right. I mean, I don't know if he gets out there, but based on the information,
I don't think he will.
No,
the
he won't.
information that we have right now, it says he's going to be out there. So let's offer him. Let's go 4 years, 40 million. He's 26. They'd structure this in a way that he wouldn't be here for all 4 years probably, but
Right.
all right, 4 years and 40 million accepted by Kenneth Walker. All right, we're down to $55 million in cap space. It goes that quick.
It does.
A couple more spots I think we need to get to quickly here. Backup quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know where you go with that one.
Give me Uncle Jabu.
You want Jameis.
I want Jameis.
All right. Let's see. Where is Mr. Winston? Did I miss him? Is he a free agent? He might have signed a 2-year deal.
I think he's a free agent. Is he not? Is he not showing up on there?
He is not. All right, no Jameis.
Okay.
Here are our options. Tyler Huntley, Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Kyle Allen, Sam Ellinger, Brett Rippon, Gardner Minshew. Anything piquing the interest here?
Look, I like a Gardner Minshew, but you want to try to emulate what you have at quarterback right now. And I think a guy that likes to escape the pocket a little bit, kind of improvise, Tyler Huntley kind of fits that mold of a similarity to Cam Ward. That's kind of what I'd look at when it comes to roster construction.
You know who I want, and that's Tyrod Taylor.
Bring him in. Why not?
Bring him in?
Yeah.
All right. We'll do Tyrod. He's 38, or 37, but we'll give him 1 year, $3.5 million. Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Tyrod Taylor is the Titans' backup quarterback. Last thing here in free agency, and then we'll move on to the draft. I know there are going to be other depth signings here. It's tough to go through like every single move that the team could make.
Right.
We probably need to look at the offensive line too.
Yeah, a little depth there.
Let's take a break here. This may take a little longer than we expected. We're going to try and get this all done in an hour. But when we come back, we'll finish up free agency. We'll dive into the draft. We are simulating the Titans offseason right now. Big moves that have been made so far. Alontae Taylor brought in at cornerback. Romeo Doubs brought in at wide receiver. Kevin Byard returns as a safety option for the Titans on the back end. You got Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP in the backfield, and Tyrod Taylor is your backup quarterback after Will Levis was traded to the Rams. We are deep into this simulation at this point. We're going to look at the offensive and defensive line next, and then we'll start drafting. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Continuing along on our Titans offseason simulation. This is a lot more involved than I kind of thought it would be, but we are making good progress, trying to go through all of free agency, all the tough decisions that Mike Borgonzi and his staff are going to have to make and into the draft, and see where we can get this roster. And so far, I think we made some good progress.
I think we have.
To just summarize some of the big moves: cut L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, traded Will Levis, brought back Chigakonkwo, Alante Taylor is at cornerback, Romeo Dobbs wide receiver, Kenneth Walker at running back, Kevin Byard is back at safety. Am I missing any other big ones?
Not that I can recall.
We've made a couple other small moves here and there, but we'll get to a recap at the end of the hour here. On the offensive line, we talked during the break. Elijah Vera Tucker. I think that's an easy one. Former first-round pick for the Jets. That could be your right guard. I'm not sure I feel confident Jackson Slater is going to be able to step in and start this year. So let's go 2 years, $13 million.
That's perfect.
Accepted. All right. You need a swing tackle too. You mentioned Evan Neal. There's the thought he might push into guard, which I don't know if you want to risk that, but it is expensive if you go up. Like I mentioned, Jermaine Illuminor, they've got him at $18 million a year. You're not paying that for a swing tackle. Let's see. How about this one? Rob Havenstein from the Rams, veteran guy, maybe would be okay stepping in as a swing tackle. It says rotational on here. Again, I don't know how much to believe this website exactly on the roles and stuff, but how about that can be your swing tackle?
I'm all right with that.
Let's go 1 year, $3.5 million.
Maybe a guy like Braxton Jones potentially as well from the Bears.
That could be an option.
It's an option.
I got us down to $42 million here.
I like that.
In cap space. And Texter did make a very good point. 3555 said that the cap space isn't super important because the way they structure these deals, a lot of them would be backloaded. We're just going straight up and, whatever the AAV is, that's what's getting put on the cap. Last signing here, and I think we should be good in free agency, edge. I think you need a rotational pass rusher. How about Yetur Gross-Matos?
I'm up for that.
Yeah, Robert Saleh guy following him could be a starter for you at the beginning of the season, but then maybe you hope some of the young guys push him.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like it.
Look, I know we kind of going off the market value of whatever it's asking for.
Right.
It's a guy that's coming off a knee injury.
Yeah.
I'm giving him about probably 5-6% low under market value.
I'm
like 10 mil, 2 years.
Okay, let's go 2 years, $20 million. How about that? Let's see if he accepts. I'll just go market value if he does. All right, he rejected it. $11.6 million. It's
cool
fine. All right. That ends free agency, I think.
Okay.
How do we feel about the roster at this point?
I'm optimistic. I think that's a better way to put it. I'm optimistic about the additions to this team that, maybe have 9 wins on their schedule.
I think you've upgraded a lot of the positions where you saw there was a lot of deficiencies this past year and not a lot of depth. So you brought in a couple of corners, a safety, a wide receiver, upgraded on the offensive line. I feel good about it. All right, it's time to draft. We're going to do the full draft here. And remember, we have an extra 5th-round pick for trading Will Levis. So here we go. The Titans picking at number 4. We might have to speed this. Oh, okay. Got to start it. All right. Fernando Mendoza, Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese. So the first 3 off the board. That is a tough spot.
Yikes.
What are you thinking here? We kind of set things up to go pass rusher. Do you go David Bailey here at 4, or do you go with a wide receiver like a Carnell Tate?
I think that phone's ringing. Somebody trying to trade?
No, I hope so, but
yeah, no.
Wait, somebody is trying to trade. I don't know if I want to use these. Let's just see what some of the offers are. None of these are all that good. I don't want to do the trades here because I feel like you get unrealistic with some of that stuff. We're going to stick and pick in this one. Parker, what do you think? Sitting here at 4 with Bain and Reese off the board, do you go David Bailey and kind of end up on the wrong end of this run of pass rushers, or do you take a wide receiver?
Again, I would not take a wide receiver within the top 4. I don't think any of them warrant that. So I'm going David Bailey.
You're going David Bailey?
I'm sticking with the edge rusher.
See, I just feel like getting David Bailey at 4 is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, he's rated 10th here, but like again, I'm not taking this
Yeah.
this website at its word.
At verbatim, right? Yeah, I'll go David Bailey.
Okay,
Why not?
let's take David Bailey. All right. Do. With the fourth pick, the Tennessee Titans select David Bailey, pass rusher out of Texas Tech. All right, draft is going on. We're gonna pick again here at 35. I'm thinking wide receiver is
Yeah.
the right move, but if there's a cornerback sitting there, I wouldn't be against it. Maybe an offensive lineman too, depending on how the board falls. All right, we are coming on the clock. Top available players. You've got Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from Texas Tech, who had a big day at the Senior Bowl. Akeem Messidor is out there, the pass rusher from Miami. You've got Chris Brazzell from Tennessee at wide receiver, Chris Bell, Chris Johnson, all the Chris's from San Diego State at cornerback. What are we thinking here?
Might be a little bit of a stretch as well, but Indiana corner D'Angelo Ponce.
See, I think he might be a slot guy though. And it's like, do you take that guy at this early? I'm looking. All right, I've put out wide receiver and cornerback as the only positions we're looking at. There's a lot of good wide receivers here. You've got Brazzell, Bell, Zachariah Branch, Omar Cooper, Jeremy Bernard, Jacoby Lane. I think any of those guys sound pretty good to me.
Let's not forget about Elijah Surratt. That's a guy who can high point the football as well.
At corner, you've got Keith Abney from Arizona State, D'Angelo Pons, Indiana, Chris Johnson, San Diego State. I'm leaning receiver here. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, I mean, receiver seems like a logical answer. You kind of balance out your draft. You go defense and you go offense. So I'd be okay with an offensive player.
Parker, I'll let you pick the name here. Brazzell, Bell, Branch, Cooper, Bernard. Who are you going with?
Oh, I'm really so it's between Chris Bell, Jeremy Bernard, and I'm blanking because I can't see the names out in front of me.
It's Chris Brazzell, Chris Bell, Zachariah Branch, Omar Cooper, Jeremy Bernard.
I'm gonna go Chris Bell.
Okay.
I believe he has the highest upside.
Coming off the injury,
Yep.
but I like it. All right, Chris Bell from Louisville. You are the pick at number 35. All right. We'll get one more pick in here. We'll do day 3 and wrap up on the other side. And actually, we could just do day 3 during the commercial break and then give the
the result. Yeah,
We could do that. Is there a time limit on there?
No,
Yeah.
it's just going through here. Titans are coming back on the clock here at 66. Oh man. Elijah Surratt fell all the way down to this one. Let's see. Cornerbacks. All right. So Keontae Scott, I know he's kind of more of a safety, is up there. Here's one. Eli Stowers is sitting there on the board here at 66.
Wow.
I know we re-signed Chigakonkwo and you got Gunnar Helm. I feel like that might be a little bit of a luxury pick that we don't have the luxury of taking.
If you didn't re-sign Chig, then maybe.
Right.
but-
I think that would have been the move. What are you guys thinking? Corner? The Julian Neal from Arkansas is the top corner on the board. Keontae Scott from Miami. You've got Malik Muhammad from Texas. Devin Moore from Florida. Dalen Everett from Georgia, I know people like.
Yeah, I like the kid from Miami as well.
Keontae Scott.
Yes.
I kind of like that too. He's the top player on the board based on this.
yeah.
He's listed it as a safety, but I think he can play corner.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And Malik Muhammad too is a dog.
Do you want to go Malik Muhammad here? I kind of like that.
For a true corner, let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go Malik Muhammad at 66. All right, so we are through day 2 of the draft, and I think it's coming together pretty well. The draft pick so far, David Bailey was the pick at number 4. Got Chris Bell, the wide receiver from Louisville, and Malik Muhammad, the cornerback from Texas, with the first 3 picks for the Titans. When we come back, we'll give you all the day 3 picks, and we will go through where this roster sits after we simulate the offseason here on day 2 of the NFL offseason. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025. The game wrapping up our offseason simulation for the Titans. We completed the day 3 draft during the break because you got to keep it on schedule here.
Yeah.
Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. We have gone through everything. Cap casualties, free agency, the draft, and we are now going to give you the final product. Let me see if I can tell you who we drafted. Here we go. So during the break, I thought it was a pretty productive day 3.
Yeah.
The Titans took Parker Brailsford with the 101st pick early in the 4th round, center out of Alabama. I love this pick. Harold Perkins out of LSU. Viewed as maybe a first-round pick. He's fallen down the board. He could either be a pass rusher or maybe more likely an outside linebacker in the 4-3. So got him at 140. J.C. Davis, tackle from Illinois at 142. Brought home Jacoby Thomas, the Tullahoma High School grad, safety from Miami at 167.
You got Jacoby Thomas there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Again, and I want to say take all of these projections we're doing with a grain of salt because, I don't know how accurate the board falling this way is.
Yeah, that's not happening, but that's a steal if so.
Jaden Ott at number 183, running back from Oklahoma, formerly at Cal, and then Josh Cuevas, the tight end / H-back from Alabama. So that is where we ended up. And let me see if I can pull the roster up here. View updated depth chart. Here we go. So this is what the Titans ended up with after our offseason. At quarterback, Cam Ward, Tyrod Taylor is your backup. At running back, Kenneth Walker is your starter. You've got Tajay Spears as your backup. Kalel Mullings and Jaden Odd round out the depth chart. At wide receiver, Alec Iamaner, Chim DK, Chris Bell, Romeo Dobbs in free agency. We brought back Bryce Oliver. Looking back, I kind of wish we would have brought another depth piece in at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because you've got Xavier Restrepo and Mason Kinsey on the 2 deep now. But I like that group of Bell, Dobbs, DK, Iamaner as your top 4. Chigakonkwo is back at tight end, along with Gunnar Helm. The offensive line, plugging in Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard. Rob Havenstein becomes your swing tackle. And then added J.C. Davis as a backup project tackle. Parker Brailsford is your backup center behind Lloyd Cushenberry. And likely, maybe your eventual successor there.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the offense?
Not too shabby.
I kind of like it. I think I wish we did a little bit more at wide receiver. But outside of that, I think your running back room looks a lot better.
Yep.
With Walker, Spears, Ott, Mullings. The tight end group, we went with Chig coming back. And I think the offensive line is definitely deeper than it was last year.
Sorry, my computer died there.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I think it is looking a lot deeper. And again, you just need bodies in there right now that can just absorb football like a sponge.
Yep.
That's simple as that. Because under Robert Saleh, you're going to get those players that are going to be molded as true contenders for this team going forward.
On defense, brought in David Bailey with the first round pick at number 4. So that was the big addition there. Also have Yetur Gross-Matos on the defensive line to go with Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat. We brought back Sebastian Joseph Day as well. You bring in Harold Perkins at linebacker, pairing him with that group of Cody Barton, Cedric Gray, James Williams. And then we did a lot of work in the secondary. A lot of work. Brought back Daryl Baker, signed Alante Taylor, Jeff Okudah at cornerback, drafted Malik Muhammad in the 3rd round. We're being told that we left the best cornerback on the board in Dalen Everett. He's I think this texter has said that before. And also brought back Kevin Byard and Jacoby Thomas. How about that? Just hometown guys rounding out the safety room.
And that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
The mayor of Murfreesboro comes back, and then you bring in Tullahoma's own Jacoby Thomas. So that's the offseason right there. What do we think?
If I had to give it a grade, I'd go B-, C+. I don't want to go too high on the board because that'd be biased, but I think C+, B- is the right I'd say grade for this team. I think that's a 9-win team, if you ask me.
Yeah, I like it. We have a texter saying Chris Bell tore his ACL. He isn't playing next year. We understand he tore his ACL. We think that helped him slide to us a little bit.
Yes.
And
because he'd probably be a first-round pick if he didn't have that.
He is going to play, by the way. ACL tears don't take 13 months to get healed. Like Jeffrey Simmons tore his during the draft process in 2019 and was playing by November. So Bell tore his in late November. I would guess He's probably not a full go in training camp, but maybe by week 1, week 2, he could be back.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I like the pick there. I feel good. The website gave us an A-.
Really?
Yep.
A-.
So we ended up with $30 million in cap space still. So we didn't break the bank completely. Here's the summary. It says, you tighten the cap by cutting 3 players and extending 1. The biggest move was releasing Calvin Ridley. You traded Will Levis to the Rams in exchange for a 5th-round pick. In free agency, you made 18 signings, headlined by Romeo Doubs. In the draft, you selected David Bailey with your first pick. Your cap is healthy at $30 million. Your restructures added $38 million in future dead money risk. So that's up there. I feel good about it. Maybe we'll do this again, like 3-4 weeks down the road as we lead up to the offseason and kind of see where we stand after this. But it ends up filling out most of the needs. The big names that we brought in, Alontae Taylor, Romeo Doubs, brought back Kevin Byard, brought in Kenneth Walker, added to the offensive line, and then David Bailey at number 4, Chris Bell at number 35, Malik Muhammad in the 3rd round. So those are the big moves we made. I feel solid about it. I think that team took advantage of the resources at its disposal, and you now have a team that is going to be more competitive this year with more young pillars that you can build around for the future.
Yeah, I like the defensive side of the ball when it comes to this draft that we just, conjured up. The fact you get David Bailey, Harold Perkins, Malik Muhammad, and Jacoby Thomas. Like, those are, I wouldn't say pillar pieces, but they definitely are some, I'd say, foundational pieces for the next regime as they come in here.
I thought it was pretty good. And actually, I got a little, there's a little image summary that it gives us. So I can, I'll put this out there on Twitter actually. And we will see if we get some thoughts on it. It gives a little summary of everything that happened. 615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam in Portland is called in. Adam, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, I think you did good. The only thing I want old dudes too, though, man, because if you think of it, like when the Titans were good last, one of the biggest moves they made was, I think, bringing Logan Ryan in. He and they don't talk about that name a lot when you talk about that era, but he was so pivotal in turning a really bad secondary into a very competitive secondary. And the reason I like it, and I say you don't have to really spend a whole lot on the defense, is that Robert Saleh lost Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and still got a ton of pressure with his defense. So I think he's going to ramp up whatever players you got. I'm not saying you don't need better players, but I would spend more on offense and do it by committee on defense. But I do want a couple of old players that can change the culture.
I think we did bring in a couple of old guys in there. Kevin Byard, the big name. We brought my guy Tyrod Taylor in as the backup quarterback. Rob Havenstein as kind of a depth tackle. So there are some old guys, but I do get what he's saying, that we kind of tried to lean towards
the youth
young guys who could be around here for a while.
And again, I'll defend that, because being on that youth movement, you want to have those core players you can have with that next regime, as I keep reiterating now. But again, you grab veteran glue guys. And I think, looking at Kevin Byard's history with this team, along with his resume in general in the NFL, that's a guy you can bring back that's going to give you production.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel good about it. We'll put this out there on social media and see if anybody has more thoughts on this. We've gone through the entire offseason for the Titans, and we can do this again moving forward and see if anything changes, especially like we got Kenneth Walker in here.
Yep.
Maybe he gets tagged. We don't know. So that could change the math of everything that we're doing. But overall, I like it. Send your thoughts our way. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will move on the other side. Big college basketball game tonight. Vanderbilt looking to bounce back against Auburn. We will preview that in the final hour of the show. Also, some interesting NFL news that I think has flown under the radar a little bit this week. We'll talk about it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Final hour on this Tuesday. Broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun second hour doing that simulation. It flew by. I do have the screenshots of everything. I'm going to put it out there on social media of what we did, and then I have the depth charts on both offense and defense. For some reason, the defense does not include Kevin Winston or Marcus Harris on there. Like, they're not just deep on the depth chart. They're just nowhere to be found.
Interesting.
I don't know where they went, but
maybe it was like an end of the season roster thing they didn't incorporate. I don't know.
I think it's based on the base defense, which it's wrong. It has it as a base 3-4, and I can't change that. But it has it without a nickel. And I wonder if they're both listed under the nickel position, like Harris and Winston, even though they're different types of players. So I don't know. But I will put that out there and see what people think. Justin from Greenbrier with a good idea here. He says, the next time we do this, we should all three of us do it on our own and then compare the results together.
Love that.
I kind of like it. So we did this one together. Maybe in a couple of weeks, as we move closer to free agency, we will on our own do one and come into the show and we'll compare and contrast where we ended up and see who ended up being better.
It's fantastic.
I like it.
Yeah. And also too, I think in a couple of weeks, a lot of this will update. Talk about players that you mentioned earlier, Jake, but also what the 3-4 will change to, 4-3 and so forth, or whatever it may be. And like the roster when it shows up for players. So maybe it'll change the depth chart and how it all
right. With
out.
Robert Saleh being officially in there. Yeah. I wonder if they'll fix it, but yes, I will, during the next commercial break, I will put out our results out there on social media and see if what people's thoughts are, because I think we did a pretty good job. Yeah. Like, I think if the Titans went into 2026 with a roster that looked pretty similar to that, yeah, you're probably not a playoff team. I don't know if that's realistic. Maybe. But I think it puts you in a position where you're going to be competitive and probably anywhere from like 6 to 9 wins.
I think 9 wins would be achievable with this roster. And the fact that you go grab a guy like Kenneth Walker at running back, he's not going to take a step back. Like, that's the thing. He's not going to sign in this fictional idea. He's not going to sign with the Tennessee Titans and say, hey, I'm not here to win 7 games. I'm here to win 9 or more.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to go from 3 wins to 9 wins, that's a step you have to take.
Yeah. And I like that program that they've got. It's cool that it lets you kind of put it together. Because I was saying I love doing the draft simulators, but it's tough because you don't know what you've already filled at that point in free agency. So going to be a fun offseason. Titans have so many resources. I mean, we got it to the point they had $150 million in cap space with the moves we made.
Could have got more.
Spent $120 million in that offseason. So if the Titans are aggressive like we were, a chance to turn that roster around. Let's flip over to college basketball here. Big game tonight, Vanderbilt and Auburn. Commodores obviously are banged up, still missing Duke Miles, Frankie Collins. Both of those players are out for tonight's game, according to the SEC availability reports that have come out. This team, yeah, you're not at full strength, but this feels like a big one on the road, tough environment. And even though Auburn isn't the Final Four team that they were last year, this is still a good team that if Vanderbilt wants to keep themselves in the top 25, in the conversation to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, this is one that it kind of feels like they have to go win.
Yeah. And again, what's going on over at Memorial Gym, if it's men's or women's, we've seen a difference of play. And again, Tyler Tanner has been one of those key pieces for this men's team. And you hope that he can kind of keep that consistent form. And I mean, the fact that you're putting up roughly 15 points on average, maybe a little bit more from a guy like Tyler Tanner, I think that's kind of what you need, a high production game from him in these SEC matchups. Because that's where your true test is in the SEC.
Yeah, and they've been good, right? Like, I don't want to act like everything's falling apart over on West End with the men's team just because they lost a game they probably shouldn't have to Oklahoma.
Yep.
And Mark Byington said as much after the game, that they didn't come out ready to go. They tried to battle their way back into it, but it was too little too late. You come up 1 point short. This team is still 19-4 and 6-4 in the SEC. Like, the roof is not falling in right now. You need to get back on track, though. And it's a tough week You've got Auburn on the road, and then A&M, who's been really good this season, coming to Nashville for a noon tip on Saturday. I feel like if you win one of these games, you feel good, but you fall back to 6-6, and things maybe start to get a little bit shaky. We'll have to see. Tonight's a big one, 6:00 tip.
It is indeed. And also, too, you look at the other side of the panel when it comes to Auburn and Keyshawn Hall. That's a guy that's putting up 20-plus points a night just about. And that's something you're going to have to do defensively if you're Vanderbilt, and stopping that drive to the hoop and just have them really, I'd say, pass the ball on the outside of the perimeter and force shots that you really shouldn't be taking.
And you want to see for Vanderbilt, I think you want to see some of the other players step up, right? Like Tyler Tanner and Tyler Nickel have been great. And you look back at the Oklahoma game, Tyler Tanner drops 37 points. Tyler Nickel has 18, but no one else had more than 13. A.K. Okereke had 13, and that was it for double figure scoring. Like Tyler Tanner and Tyler Nickel, they're awesome, and you need them to be playing their best, but your team is better when you get the contributions from down the roster. Like I'll use the women's team as an example last night. Like, yes, Michaela Blakes and Aubrey Galvin scored 64 points between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big reason why they ran away with it. But Justine Passat hit 4 threes. Jacka Langenman and Tonda nearly had a double-double in one of her best games. They got contributions from players who barely played at all in SEC play, who came off the bench and played important minutes. I know that is happening with Mark Byington's team, but you just need it more consistently from guys outside of those leading scorers for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and again, you look at it from a defensive standpoint. If you're Vandy, you got to be able to rebound the ball. In the SEC, if you're not getting the ball, obviously you're not scoring the points, and you're not creating points in some aspects. You got to be able to rebound well, and I think Devin McLaughlin does a pretty good job of that this year. It's been inconsistent, but if you can get some consistent numbers going forward into SEC play, being in SEC play, that's kind of where you're going at. And again, what Mark Byington's done with this team definitely changed it from 0 to 100.
Yeah, and we have this conversation all the time of like, they're still doing really well for what the expectation should have been.
Yeah.
Mark Byington has really embraced the new era of college basketball he created a whole new team out of transfers last year. And then this year kept the holdovers. You've got Nickel, you've got Tanner, you've got McLaughlin, and then brought in a whole new batch of transfers who have added to this team. It's tough that Duke Miles got hurt when he did. And it really sucks that Frankie Collins has been hurt for most of the season. I think he was going to be a really key piece for this team. You hope to get those guys back soon, but right now you got to tread water without them and see if you can pick up a couple of crucial wins here and there, keep yourself towards the top half of the SEC standings, and then hopefully when they get back, they can be that missing piece to spark a run into March.
Yeah, and looking at, again, from the very beginning, what Mark Byington's done with this team, what he has done with this team, it's expectations change throughout the season.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to make a soccer reference here with Nashville SC. The expectation changed for them last year.
Yeah.
Same thing for Vandy women's and also Vandy men's. And I think fans are realizing that. But again, with, like you said, with injuries, you're going to have to take a little step back for a second just to realize this team is still on a good trajectory. You just have to just take a deep breath.
Yeah, it's a really long season, so sometimes it can be forgotten what you thought this team was going to be.
Right.
Like the Vandy, both Vandy teams. It's like I said it earlier with the women's team. I think the hope was that you would host. Now this team is in the conversation for the 1 seed. Even if they don't get the 1 seed, it's not disappointing. Like, yes, you raise the expectations, but it's still a successful season. And right now, Vandy, I think, is on the 5 or the 6 line as it stands. You'd love to be able to elevate down the stretch, but still great stuff coming from Mark Byington's crew. And it's only year 2. It's only going to get better from here.
Exactly. Once you start facilitating an NIL and also the recruiting classes, sky's the limit.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call if you have any thoughts on Vandy's matchup with Auburn tonight. And again, that is coming up at 6 o'clock, 5:30 pregame right here on 1025 The Game. Curling is underway. How is this the first end?
Yes, this is the first. And that's a pretty good job. What they just opened up a blocker is what it seems like. They got rid of 2 Swedish marbles, which is good.
It looks like Sweden would win 1-0 based on the scoring that I'm going through in my head here.
I think so.
I don't know. Anyway, we will give you updates on curling too, as the U.S. looks for a gold medal
Look at that haircut
in this
man.
event.
Can't pull that one off in modern day curling, I guess.
On the other side, some other big news around college basketball yesterday. Charles Bediako has now been ruled ineligible by a Tuscaloosa County judge, and he is no longer on the Alabama team. What does this mean moving forward for college basketball? And what does it mean for Alabama? How should the games that he played in be viewed as we head towards Selection Sunday?
I got a question for you, too.
All right, we'll get to all of it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday morning. We'll also get to your phones. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Couple more segments on the show here. We did a full-on Titans offseason simulation, and I just put it out there on social media. So if you missed it, you can check that out at Lyman Jake on Twitter, and I think The Game just reposted it. So you can go check it out. You've got all of the signings in there, the draft class, and I included the depth chart after. Again, I don't know why Kevin Winston and Marcus Harris just aren't listed, but they should be on there. So make sure you go check that out. Let us know your thoughts if you have not seen it. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Daryl is on the line wanting to talk about Don Staley and the Lady Gamecocks. What's going on, Daryl?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys?
Not much. How are you?
Pretty good. Doing good. I'd like to give a shout out to my Lady Gamecocks. They laid the lumber to UT's women the worst program loss in their history the other day. You guys have been talking about it. I pulled for Vanderbilt. I think they had 5 starters scored all the points last night. Is that correct?
Yep, 102 points from 5 players.
When you get that'll get you to the Sweet 16 a couple of rounds in your home, say NCAA. But when you get up against the South Carolinas, the UConns, and the Texases of the world, you got to have more scoring than that. You got to have, like you guys were talking about, you got to have contributions off the bench, scoring and rebounding and defense. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks. Go ahead, Gamecock.
100%. Thanks for the call. It was a little weird last night. Ayanna Mitchell, who's usually the first player off the bench for Vandy, went out. She got hit in the face and came back with a mask on. So it was kind of a little bit of a strange night for her. But, I mean, when Michaela and Aubrey score 30-plus each, you don't really need it. But I do understand what he's saying, that with the depth that those teams have, you have to be able to match that at times. So, long way to go till March, though. And Vandy has put themselves in a really nice position with a little over a month to go until Selection Sunday. Let's talk about this Charles Bediako situation, because it's been raging on. The friendly judge let him on the team, apparently was an Alabama donor, and the NCAA has been working to try and get him off the team. And finally yesterday, a judge ruled that he is ineligible to play and has been removed. He ended up playing in 5 games. Alabama went 3-2 during that stretch. What now, though? For let's start with just college basketball as a whole. Do you think this will dissuade others from trying to come back and play college basketball, or do you think that it's going to continue to be, if we can just find a friendly judge, we might be able to find our way back onto the team?
I don't think it dissuades anybody to come back to college basketball. I think this gives you a little bit more incentive to find another way, like you're talking about, find another way to get back into college basketball if you choose the G League route, because we're all seeing it now. The NCAA is losing every bit of power by the second, by the minute, by the hour, whatever it may be. This is just one little case where they're able to kind of get an upper edge on a, I guess, former college athlete at this point. That's how I look at it. My curiosity is, where does Alabama's program, when it comes to the wins, you said they went 3-2 in those 5 games, does the NCAA now vacate those wins?
That's what I'm wondering. They played an ineligible player that the NCAA told you was ineligible.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have to vacate those wins?
And again, I'm not saying they'd probably miss March Madness for it, but if that were to be the case of like a certain seeding, I mean,
well, and I saw John Rothstein did tweet about this, and he put out there, based on a source, what the how the selection committee was going to view Alabama. And I want to make sure I get it right. John Rothstein does tweet a lot, though, so it might take a second. But he put out there, I believe it basically was that they're going to view them as they are heading into March Madness.
Okay.
So without Charles Bediako. So I guess that means maybe they're not going to view those wins as pluses. I don't know. It's here we go. Here's the tweet from John Rothstein last night. The NCAA Tournament Selection Committee will evaluate Alabama for the 2026 NCAA Tournament by the roster that it has available for March Madness per an NCAA official. The Crimson Tide went 3-2 this season with Charles Bediako, who today was denied a preliminary injunction to keep playing in the lineup. So I don't really know exactly what they mean by that. So does that mean they're just going to ignore it and say, all right, well, they don't have Bediako, so they're going to view it kind of like an injured player, of like, let's say John Smith for North Dakota tore his ACL, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to view them without John Smith. Is that how they're viewing Bediako? Is basically just, all right, he was on the team, he's not on the team anymore.
That's kind of how I'm figuring it in my brain. Kind of like with baseball, you have WAR, wins above replacement. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And you try to figure out what's the player's value with.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how I'm feeling with Bediako. Like, there's got to be some sort of like sabermetric math equation that you can incorporate for college basketball, right?
I just think it's ridiculous that certain teams had to play them with him and certain teams didn't. And it's like, obviously injuries cause that to happen all the time. And you might be able to say, oh, Auburn got lucky that they didn't have to face him because he was injured.
Right.
But it's different because the NCAA literally said he's ineligible, and Alabama tried to go around the rules, and Bediako went around the rules and got a judge to let him play. why should the teams that had to face him be punished because Alabama decided that they felt they could get away with this?
It just makes no sense to me how this can just all take place. And also, too, was he getting NIL money?
Oh, I'm sure. I wonder how that all gets paid now.
Dude, that's another can of worms, I guess, for another day. But then you add that in the equation, there is a lot more to this case. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Bediako not playing in college basketball.
So it's like you look at the 5 games that he played: Auburn, A&M, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee. Those were the 5. They lost 2 games in there. You blew out Missouri by 26. So I don't know if it's that big of a deal in those games, but look at these last 2. You beat A&M by 3. You beat Auburn by 4. Like, are you telling me that there's no chance if you replace, like you were saying with the wins above replacement, if you replace Charles Bediako with whoever his backup would have been, that maybe A&M or Auburn don't win those games?
I think so. I think they would not win those games at all.
I mean, Bediako, it's not like he came in and was averaging 30 points and 15 rebounds. So I don't want to make it seem like we're just like saying, oh, he's the greatest player of all time.
Right.
But you look at it and say, you played 2 games that were decided by less than 4 points. Charles Bediako averages 10 points per game. If you replace him with whoever would have gotten those 21 minutes per game otherwise, do they win those games?
And from the looks of it, I would say no, because, I mean, look, I'm not sure who his backup is like you're trying to get to, but you look at the bench and you see his numbers over everybody else on the bench, and you say, yeah, those numbers don't equate to the same as his.
Well,
and try to replace that, and it doesn't add up.
And I guess that, like, the scoring isn't everything too, right? Like, he's a really good rim protector too, and a good rebounder. I struggle with that because it's like Alabama, sure, if you want to evaluate Alabama in a vacuum and say, fine, we're just going to evaluate them without Charles Bediako on the roster, that's fair to them, I think. If you're not going to punish them and make them vacate wins, I think that's okay. But to punish the other teams who had to play Alabama, who was playing an ineligible player, I don't know how you get away with that. I think maybe the selection committee should basically say, we're removing those data points from the equation.
I think you'd say removing those data points would be respectable when it comes to the March Madness tournament. Because, like, in my brain, I'm looking at the A&M game because that was a 3-point swing. You look at Bediako, only had 5 points in the game, but out of those 4 rebounds that he had, how many of those led to transition points?
Right. We'd have to go back through and say, like, would his presence have or his lack of presence on the floor have changed the outcome of the game? And I think if I'm the NCAA, your authority is getting questioned all the time. I think you try and throw the hammer down and dissuade any program from trying to bring in one of these pro players. I don't know exactly what you can do, but vacate wins, any kind of punishment that you can inflict on Alabama, I think you do it, because then maybe these programs that are trying to bring back pro players will say, you know what? It might be worth it for a couple of games, but guess what? Eventually he's going to be ruled ineligible, and we have to deal with that. If the NCAA wants to show that they have any authority, which lately it doesn't seem like it, I think they should put some sanctions down on Alabama.
And yeah, put sanctions down on Alabama, but for also players trying to come back to play in college basketball, I mentioned earlier with the NIL, that's definitely going to play a factor into the rest of this, I assume. If the NCAA does adopt this and say, yeah, players in the G League can come back and play college basketball, if that ever is the case, you put, like, I'd say some form of like a tax percentage on the NIL. They have to pay a 25% tax on their NIL value to come back to playing college basketball. And that's for the rest of the time you're there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's an idea because you have to find a way to keep the floodgates closed.
Right.
And this was a big step in that of getting Bediako sent out, but you've got to hope that they keep asking for congressional help. And I agree. They probably do need congressional help because the NCAA, their rules, everybody stayed with for so long because that was the rules. But now people have started questioning them and challenging them in court. And a lot of them don't hold up because they're just NCAA rules. They're not laws. I think if Congress could back them up and give them some sort of federal blanket of, hey, this is what eligibility leads to. And once you forfeit your eligibility and go sign a pro contract, you are not welcome back. There needs to be something like that.
Yeah.
But Alabama's argument is all of the European players who have played a pro year in Europe, because you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to play one and then come over and play. That's the argument they're making, is why are they allowed to do it, but our players who play a year in the G League aren't allowed to come back?
Well, is it also in the rules somewhere where it says the professional leagues in North America? Is that in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if that's the case, then there you go. There's your loophole.
I honestly think it should be that you have to sign something if you go pro saying, I forfeit my eligibility in the NCAA. Like, that should be part of the process of, if you decide to go pro, you give it up and you say, I am not going to come back.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to do it, because you look at the European players, they're playing pro before, then they come over. If they wanted to go back and play pro, then they would have to forfeit their eligibility. I think that's the right way to do it.
And it's tough too, because in Europe, a lot of those pro basketball teams, they're all like academies. Like that's the thing. The kids come all the way from the kindergartens all the way through high school into the collegiate level. And that's the tough gray area as well.
Yeah.
So put that into factor.
Craig on the text line says, now that teams know the timeline it took for them to say he can't play, what is stopping a team from adding a G League player right before the Elite Eight and winning a championship? Well, the issue here is that Bediako got a friendly judge who was an Alabama donor.
Right.
And it's like, if you know you have a friendly judge and you know that you could get at least the initial eligibility approved, then yeah, maybe that's a possibility. I don't think teams are going to do that.
What's the guy from Gonzaga, had the mustache? And
Drew Timme?
Yeah, bring back Drew Timme. I know he plays for the New York Nets, but that's all right.
See, I don't think most teams are going to risk that
I know.
because I really, you would have to vacate the championship as soon as he's ruled ineligible. Like, the NCAA might be able to live with 3 Alabama regular season wins and, they can move on. If a team does that in the tournament and wins a championship, everything's going away as soon as he's ruled ineligible, which will happen at some point.
Yeah. And then here's another fold to it. Say there, we talk about with college football and the SEC and the Big Ten doing a breakaway league to do their own playoff. What about college basketball? What if there are schools, programs out there that say, you know what? Let's just break away from the NCAA and do our own March Madness.
Yeah.
Like that could be a thing to where you could bring back those G League players and they play for your team. Although that would mess up with recruiting and NIL and all of that. But that's all for them to figure out, not for us.
It's a tangled web. And Bediako being ruled ineligible is a good step. As the NCAA said, common sense finally won one.
Yeah.
But going to need, a couple more if they're going to end this trend of pro players coming back to try and play college basketball. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got 30 minutes left in the show today. When we come back, there's been a headline around the NFL that I don't think people are talking about enough because it's pretty strange, and I want to get into it. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, couple more segments here on this Tuesday. Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Been a fun show today. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Chase and Big Joe are coming up at the top of the hour, and they're out at a flower shop, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
getting ready for Valentine's Day coming up
Yeah.
quick. I just realized how unprepared I am for Valentine's
It's
Day.
this weekend.
I know. And my fiance's birthday is next week too, so I got a lot of work to do. That'll happen this afternoon.
Do
I
you
think.
also have to do a Valentine's Day proposal like I had to do?
Oh,
I didn't
like-
have to do
like
it. I got
ask,
to
like,
do it
will
just
you-
in case she's listening. right
Will
now.
you be my Valentine?
Yeah. Did you have to do that as well?
I think she's joking when she asked me to do that.
I don't know if it's a joke. Women take that stuff seriously. I
No.
thought, since I'm married, like, that kind of,
Right. I guess
but
that
she still expects it from me.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna get her like a little like care package. We've kind of said like we're not gonna do gifts for Valentine's Day, but more like stocking stuffer things.
Yeah.
like
That
like
makes sense.
a candle, some chocolate, flowers, stuff like
Flowers.
that. Yeah, maybe I'll ask her if she'll be my Valentine, even though we're getting married in a couple months. Anyway, let's get back to a news story around the NFL that I think is not getting enough traction. Derek Carr unretiring or possibly unretiring. Have you seen this?
No.
This popped up on my feed and I'm like, why is this not a bigger deal? Ian Rappaport put it out there. I think it was yesterday, said that if the right situation and coaching staff presents itself, Derek Carr could unretire. I mean, that adds another wrinkle and another domino here in this quarterback carousel.
So nobody owns the rights to Derek Carr, correct? Do the
Um,
Raiders still own the rights to him?
The Saints do.
The Saints, that's right.
So
the
they would
Saints,
have to trade. So here is an article from Nick Underhill, who covers the Saints, that I can't read. It says, how would a Derek Carr trade work? So I do know he has to get traded. Yeah, I don't know who would be interested in Derek Carr. Like just looking at the league, who on paper would make sense to bring in a guy like Derek Carr, who I think you probably need to have him be the missing piece if you're going to make a move like that.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
100% Minnesota.
I kind of like Minnesota. I don't think Miami would do that. I think Miami's going to full on tank this year.
You wonder if Houston takes a stab at that.
I don't think they want to kill CJ Stroud's confidence.
I mean,
I think
that's fair.
this year you're going all in on CJ. Don't worry about the outside noise. You're our guy. A move like this would make sense next year if he struggles.
Sure.
I don't think the Jets, like, what would be the point of bringing in Derek Carr for the Jets?
It's also the mindset too. Where is Derek Carr in all this?
Right,
Does he want
like,
to be a backup or does he want to be a starter?
Right. And like Derek Carr, I don't think would come back unless he's going to be the starter on a team that he feels can contend. Right. Like he's not coming back to be the starter for the Cleveland Browns. It's not, I just don't see it.
Maybe Arizona. I know that's a team that's in shambles, but
Yeah.
has some young pieces in Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. And he's the quarterback. I don't know.
With the rumors that Rodgers is going to come back to the Steelers too, that's kind of another place that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Raiders are drafting Mendoza. There's not a lot of options out. Like, that's why I wonder why this is coming up of like, is it just Derek Carr and his agent are like, hey, I want to come back. Anybody want me?
Trying to get a Kirk Cousins deal like he had in Atlanta, maybe.
The Vikings would make sense. Maybe the Falcons. How about that? Like, because Michael Penix's coming off another knee injury. I could see that making sense of him being the Kirk Cousins replacement there.
Right. Maybe Tampa Bay if Baker decides to.
I don't know. I think they're going to give Baker another year.
Yep.
That's really it. Like, those are the two teams I look at and say, yeah, it would make sense. The Vikings and the Falcons.
What about Miami?
Miami, I feel like they're going all in on the tank. Like, maybe they feel like that makes sense. But for me, I'm looking at it as the Dolphins. You're already eating all that cap space on Tua. Why would you trade draft capital to go get a quarterback who, even if comes back and is who Derek Carr was before he retired,
Right.
still was never like a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
It's just tough to find, like you're talking right now, it's tough to find a landing spot for a guy like that because, again, you don't know the, ramifications if he wants to be a backup, a starter, what the money or the trade value is and all that. It's tough.
It is an interesting offseason because there aren't a whole lot of QB needy teams that make sense for veterans. But there's also not many rookies out there that you feel good about. So, like, I think Malik Willis will get an opportunity with one of those teams like the Dolphins or the Jets, who it's like a why not scenario. If he's good, maybe he turns into our franchise quarterback. He's young enough, he's talented enough that it could work out. If he's horrible, you're probably picking high enough to draft and take your quarterback next year. But I think there are a couple of names out there that you think maybe could get moved. Like Will Levis, we talked about trading him as like a backup option.
Right.
But in terms of openings to go be a starter for Derek Carr, I don't see it.
What about the Jets?
Again, it's a similar situation to the Dolphins. Like, what does
Yeah.
that do for you?
It's fair. I mean, again, we talked earlier about Kevin Byard, and I think it was Adam in Portland talking about having those glue guys on a roster.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what Derek Carr wants to do, is be a glue guy. But if you're a quarterback, to me, in the way his career is right now, he is that transitional quarterback that can kind of help mold the young and the old together. It's just where I see Derek Carr right now. I don't see him as a starting quarterback anywhere. I mean, he'd be a good backup for Washington. I think if Marcus is still there or not, I don't know. I don't know.
Marcus is a free agent.
Yeah, so then there's your backup role right there behind Jaden Daniels. So
it's interesting. As I went to ESPN, there's an article from Ben Solak looking at quarterback needy teams and their options, and he has an excerpt about Derek Carr. Apparently, Carr would maybe come back for the right team. This does not interest me at all. Remember, Carr is still under contract with the Saints, so he isn't free if he unretires. He has to return to New Orleans, waive his no-trade clause, then get dealt, presumably for not much. Carr will be 35 next month. He hasn't aged out of the league just yet, but it's difficult to be enthusiastic about his ceiling outside of the Clint Kubiak offense.
I mean, there's no way he goes to Vegas, right?
No,
Like goes back to Vegas in a trade.
See, if he wants to come back and doesn't want to start, or if the Raiders aren't as keen on starting Fernando Mendoza from day one, he could be a good transitional piece because he does know that offense. He knows that building. Maybe that's why this is all coming up, is that the Raiders want to bring him in as kind of like that mentor for Fernando Mendoza. Ben Solak also put in this article teams that might need passers. Let me know if you agree or disagree on these. Atlanta, I think yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a starter, I think you need someone else in there. The Colts,
That's fair.
I'm going to assume they bring back Daniel Jones,
Mm-hmm.
but you just don't know if he's not going to be ready for week one. The Jets, yeah. I just don't know where they go. The Jets are in this tough position where they're picking second, so they can't get Mendoza, but there's also really no other options out there that would make sense for where their team is right now. The Steelers, if they bring back Rodgers, then I guess they're fine.
Yeah.
Cleveland is an interesting one. Todd Monken is going to have to decide whether he thinks Shedeur Sanders deserves the full year as a starter.
Or you have Deshaun Watson still on the roster. I mean,
There is that.
There is that, man. And you still got Dylan Gabriel. Again, Todd Monken's a guy that has that, that experience to figure out who his quarterback will be. I mean,
I could see them going, and Ben Solak mentions aggressively pursue Malik Willis in free agency.
for Cleveland?
Yeah, like if Todd Monken comes into the building and says Shedeur Sanders is not our starting quarterback, then go get somebody else, I guess.
Yeah, but I feel like you've wasted so much capital on just that one position. I feel like you got to bite the bullet and just ride with somebody.
Shedeur Sanders was a 5th round pick.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's a draft pick. Amon-Ra was a 4th round pick. Again, it's a different position. So
I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like the Titans gave Malik Willis as a 3rd round pick less runway than Shedeur Sanders got as a 5th round pick.
yeah, I mean, but I'd say the franchise is a little different though.
Yeah.
The
I mean, they were
situation is
in
what it
different
was.
spots, right?
Yeah.
But like
You draft 2 quarterbacks in the same draft, just 2 rounds apart. 3rd round with Dylan Gabriel, 5th round with Shedeur. To me, what are you doing?
agreed.
I mean, yeah,
I think that could be said about everything the Browns have done for a long time.
I think you just got to grab one and go.
Yeah, the Browns will be interesting because Monken has to decide if, like, are you just going all in on Shedeur this year, or do you think you need to bring somebody in to compete with them? Miami, yes, I just don't know what they're going to do. I mean, if they're cutting or trading Tua, then they got to eat a ton of dead cap.
I think it's 45 million if he is cut, if that's correct.
It might even be more than that.
One of them is 45, the other one's
big.
54.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vikings competition for JJ McCarthy. Yes. Cardinals. Yes. They're probably getting rid of Kyler. And then the Rams and Chiefs are listed here. I would agree with both of those. Rams, I think you need to have somebody as kind of a pseudo successor to Matthew Stafford.
Mhm.
And then, of course, Mahomes coming off the knee injury. You probably want to have a capable backup in case he's not ready to go week 1.
54 million.
54 million. Yeah.
Guaranteed if cut, I believe.
A lot of money.
Dead cap hit of 99 million. So, I mean, just take it however you want.
Crazy stuff. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got one more segment on this Tuesday. We'll wrap up the show coming up after this. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, wrapping up the show on this Tuesday. We're talking about the quarterback carousel, and I think with this article from ESPN, we'll get into this with Corey Curtis a little bit tomorrow about where the musical chairs might end up at the end of the offseason. Matthew in Nashville asks, what's Kyler's dead cap? It is $54 million if they cut him before March 15th. After March 15th, it would be $77 million. But, they would take away some from the future.
Right.
How about this idea? Get ready.
Okay.
1-for-1 trade, Kyler Murray for Tua Tagovailoa. Just say, you know what? We're going to get both these guys a change of scenery, see what happens, and you can move on easier from both of them at the end of next year.
Wouldn't hate it. I mean, I know that's a joke.
It's not going to happen, but
I wouldn't hate it.
I mean, both of those guys are talented.
Yes.
And I know Tua has not been good and the concussions are tough, but both those teams are looking for a fresh start at quarterback and don't really have a way to get it right now.
Right.
1 year, Freaky Fridays, swap it and see what Tua can do in Arizona and what Kyler can do in Miami. And if it's horrible, you really didn't lose much. And if it works out, maybe the change of scenery was all those guys needed.
Yeah, and maybe for Tua, I mean, if you were to be playing in Arizona inside of a dome, maybe that's a good thing for him because it's in a weathered environment.
Yeah.
You're not playing in the cold in Kansas City in a playoff game. I don't know. Although you do have Green Bay, you do have Philadelphia. So you still have your cold games if it does come up. But I don't know. Maybe you take your chances.
I mean, it's an idea. The quarterback cycle this year is going to be strange because there are a lot of teams who need quarterbacks and a lot of decent quarterbacks who are going to be available, but I just don't know if they fit the timeline of a lot of these teams. It's like, why would the Jets want Kyler Murray? Right? Like you're hoping to find your way into a top 5 pick eventually if you're the Jets.
True.
I would say get Malik Willis. Like or trade for Will Levis or something like that. Go get somebody who's a lottery ticket and it's big boomer bust potential because that's kind of what the Jets need right now. It's what the Browns need. It's what the Dolphins need. You need guys who are either going to blow up and be your franchise quarterback or going to be so bad that you end up finding your quarterback in the draft.
Yeah. You mentioned Will Levis there just now. If they bring in Will Levis into training camp and, maybe he is on the roster, maybe he's not, maybe a draft casualty when it comes to trading, but just gas him up. Man's looking great in practice, great tight spirals. Somebody trade for him would be nice.
Yeah, I think Levis gets moved. I've stayed on that.
Before the draft or during the draft?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
I think he's gone. I would say before the draft. I would guess probably maybe during free agency, maybe in that like dead period between free agency and the draft.
That's fair.
My guess. Fun show today.
It was a blast.
We went through, we simulated the Titans offseason, and if you've missed it, you can go check it out on my Twitter, my ex, Lyman Jake. It's been retweeted by the Game account as well. We've got all the moves in there and also have the depth chart that came out at the end of it. I felt pretty good about it. I realized Femi Oladejo was not listed on the depth chart either. I think all of the guys who finished the year on IR just weren't listed.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense. So there's a few guys who are missing from the depth chart, but it's a relatively complete look at what the team would look like based on our offseason simulation. I think it's good. We're going to do this again. Let's say, when's free agency? Free agency is usually the week of like like St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
I think it opens up, I'm going to guess March 9th is like the legal tampering period. It's usually like
March 11th.
March 11th. Okay.
At 4 p.m. Eastern. So
okay. So
Central.
March 11th. So let's do
the legal tampering starts March the 9th.
Okay. So yes, legal tampering period that Monday and opens officially on the 11th. Let's do that first Tuesday in March. We're going to circle back to this and we're going to each do our own and see where we end up.
Love it.
Because things can change. Franchise tags have to be put on. We know that George Pickens is off the market. He's going to go back to the Cowboys. We signed Kenneth Walker. Like, I don't know if he's going to be back. I almost said Kenneth Murray there.
Right now, he's sitting in a teacup with Sam Darnold. So,
yes, he is.
Guy has his mind off football right now.
Yes, he is. But overall, I like what we did. We brought in some names in free agency: Alante Taylor, Romeo Dobbs, Kenneth Walker, Kevin Byard comes back, and then you get David Bailey at the top of the draft, which I'm kind of glad that was the scenario it gave us in the draft of Bain is off the board, because it made us pivot a little bit. Because I think if it was Ruben Bain, would we all have been like, take Ruben Bain?
Yeah, I think we would.
I like that it made us think about it of David Bailey versus a Carnell Tate or somebody like that at wide receiver.
Yeah, and also, like, I'm not too high on Carnell Tate. You know where I stand on this.
Yeah.
Just lay off a wide receiver for round 1. Maybe just grab somebody in round 3, give or take, like kind of what we did with Chris Bell. But, Jeremiah Smith all the way.
Yeah, that is where you are. We took Chris Bell. It could have been anybody, though. Like, if you're looking at that roster, like, I don't like Chris Bell. Jeremy Bernard was up there. Chris Brazel was up there. Omar Cooper. So could have been a lot of names there. It was just the name that we pick. Blame Parker for that one. I'm kidding. I like the Chris Bell pick out of Louisville. I think it's kind of like Kevin Winston last year. You're taking a chance on an injured guy who could have been a first-round pick. That'll about do it for us. Dr. Crane, it's always a pleasure having you in. We'll do it again next week.
It's always fun. I appreciate you having me, man.
Tomorrow on the show, we will have Corey Curtis from News 2. We will talk plenty of Titans heading into the offseason. We'll talk some Super Bowl with Corey Curtis and the Olympics. Olympic hockey starts tomorrow. We'll get Corey's thoughts on that. We were talking about that new Miracle documentary, and I watched it. So we'll get some thoughts with Corey Curtis as well. That's tomorrow from 9 to noon on the show. But coming up next, Chase and Big Joe, they will take you from here. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.